minutes, so you don't want me use me as a last resort. But you guys are so much fun; it's
Well,
ridiculous.
you just started my fucking stream, so thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks. And he's gone. Happy Friday, Banksy.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Friday for you and Saturday.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
I am well and truly on my way to the land of drunkenness, so I am good.
You really
I'm on my
are.
way.
Like, you have so much energy. It's so good. I was listening to your talk earlier and I was like, so he's going to stream for how many hours and then he's going to talk to me? Like, you know how high energy we are together.
Yeah, but that was warm up. That's just the warm up phase.
Yeah.
That's getting me ready for the Aimee show.
Yeah. And how are you feeling about the Aimee show? I'm feeling pretty good. How about you?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the thoughtcasts every day. I'm loving the insightful conversations about friends. Who are your friends? Fair weather friends versus good
Right?
long term friends.
Isn't that such an important thing to think about?
I do. I actually quite like it. Ironically, this evening, my house guest is one of my very long term friends.
Mm
20 over 20 years now, I guess. No, about 20 years.
hmm. Mm hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep good friends. It's usually after university, most of your friends kind of dissipate and go off to different directions because you all came to that university because you all wanted to study at that particular university. So you
Mm
came from
hmm.
all different parts of the country.
Yeah.
And for me, most of my friends, once we graduated, they all vanished. Even the friend that I'm with, who's visiting tonight, is actually doesn't live in London,
Yeah.
but out of all the people, and I mean literally like 20, 30 people that we used to hang out with and know, there is literally about three people now that I actually regularly contact from the
Mm hmm.
uni days. Yeah, because it happens, people go off, people get married, people get jobs in different countries, different places. But those who still keep in touch, those who still keep contact, those are the real ones. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those
And
are
you
the
know
ones you
what? Like,
know.
as you age, you realize cliches really are a cliche for a reason. I don't feel ashamed to, like, so much of my life is so cliche. You know what I mean? Like, there's things I think about and
Hmm.
lessons I'm like, oh, this is cliche. But quality over quantity is one of those things when it comes to friends that is so true. Like,
Well, it's the old saying: you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends.
you can choose your family. Sometimes you have no choice but to choose your family.
No, I mean you can't. You don't really get a
No, I
choice.
know what
You're
you mean. I
born
know what
into
you're
whatever
saying.
you're born into. But with your friends, at least you can actually have an active role in who you want to keep in contact with and who you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, then you pick the ones you really connect with, you really gel with. And that's um yeah, that's the way to go. I think I've become much more selective. When you were talking about friends and people that I've categorized people into various groups. I've got associates,
Mm-hmm.
and I have people I know, and then I have friends.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to be perfectly honest with the friends department, it's I can count them on one hand, more or
Have
less.
people not just cheapened what that means? Like, and now it can just be, oh, we're like hooked up on Facebook, so we're friends.
Oh yeah,
What the fuck
yeah,
are you
that's
talking about?
nonsense.
We're friends. We're not fucking friends, bro. Just because I have you
Exactly.
on my Facebook. But it's so weird that people have the idea that you're actually friends just because you have each other on social media. Like, it has
Mm,
cheapened the value of what friendship is and should be, all this social media shit. It's all about numbers, right? People are always like, I
yeah,
just want
yeah,
to increase my number of subscribers, friends, followers, like just more
yeah,
people. But like, where it's like a you
yeah.
think you're getting connection, but you're not really getting connection. It's
Yeah,
synthetic, you know?
I was thinking about this when you were because most of the time when I'm listening to your stuff, I'm riding my motorbike, so that gives me a little moment in like a space in time where I can think about things
Mm-hmm.
without too much other distractions. Certainly no screens. I can't look at any
Oh
screen.
yeah.
Screens are a major problem the limit of the time you spend looking at screens, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a major issue itself. But in that moment, I was thinking what you were saying about friends is I see the sort of frivolous, what in Britain we call fair weather friends.
Yeah,
When the
yeah.
weather is nice, they're your friends, and when shit
Exactly.
hits the fan, and those types of friends, those are the Facebook friends and your Instagram friends or whatever. They are like the McDonald's of friendship. They look
Mm-hmm.
nice, they look attractive, but they're ultimately they don't have any real nutrition
No
in them.
substance at all.
Yeah, there's no substance in there. Whilst the close, real, hardcore friends that you have for years and years, they are your steak and potatoes and vegetables. You know, the good,
Yeah.
nutritious food that you
Yes.
need. The nutritious friends, and those are the friends. I mean, my simplest test for a friend is if you are in the friend category, and this has happened. I've done this for friends, and they've done this for me. Pick up a phone at 3 a.m. and say my car's broken down, and I need someone to tow me home.
Mm-hmm.
Which ones show up and which ones don't? Which
Right.
ones can you call up? And I can guarantee you, your 500,000 followers on Facebook would not pick up that phone at 3 a.m.
No, nobody gives a fuck. But this is the thing that
That's right.
when you do heavy drugs and you do mushrooms and you're with your friends, you have like really deep conversations about important shit. So we were just like pontificating and philosophizing on the idea of like what the fuck is a friend really? And like the people
Mm,
that we have around us, how good of friends are they actually? Are they just good at making the friendly noises? Because people are good at that. People are so good at
yeah,
making friendly noises. They say all the right things, but when push comes to shove and it really comes time to show your character, they end up showing you they're just a big fucking asshole and they didn't mean anything they said. And I'm like,
absolutely.
that's not the kind of friendship I offer. I'm not interested in your surface level shit. Like, keep it
Yeah,
real
yeah.
or,
But
or
I see them as associates. I don't really see them as friends. Or even if I
right.
saw them as friends and then I see their behavior, I then reclassify them, if you like, as associates. Because if I can't, it's not about just wanting to something from your friends all the time. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
give and take. I'm talking about two-way street. This is all a two-way street. If I need you at a particular moment in my life when I'm in the shit, when I'm desperate, and you're not there for me, then I'm not gonna reciprocate when you're in the shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then I don't count you as those type of friends. I don't count you as a friend that really matters
Yeah,
at the
like
time you want.
if you want
Uh,
to
s-
help me. But if you don't, then don't. Because I don't need you holding over my head that I did so much for you. I did this for you. I did that for you. Is
exactly.
this a business transaction or are we friends?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you can only gauge. There are only a few moments in time where I
Mm-hmm.
realize how I can gauge my real friends. Those are the ones when I'm in the shit and they've been there for me, and vice versa. And then there are the ones that I've spent time, like for example, we've been on trips. It's if you've gone through some kind of traumatic or struggle together, if you've
Mm-hmm.
done something that needed both. This is why people like in the army, in the Marines and soldiers and stuff, they become such devoted friends to each other because they've
Mm-hmm.
gone through some serious shit.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
needed this person to save their life, and they needed you to save their life.
Oh
This
my
was
God.
serious.
Can
It's a
I
whole other level.
Can I tie something into this? Do you remember at the end of Stranger Things when they were like, we have shared trauma now? What's a little more? Like, nothing
Yes.
strengthens a relationship like shared trauma. If you make it out of the other
Yes.
end of some challenging shit, like that is the catalyst for true tribalism. You know what I mean? Like
True.
really caring
Absolutely.
for people who are around you, your friends, your fucking family. Like it's supposed to mean something when you say this person is my family. Like I am loyal to this person.
Yes.
We have a fucking understanding that doesn't need to be said because like that is the depth of this bond here. Do people even have that
Exactly.
anymore? Because it's so rare. This is what I'm always
Well,
seeking in my life is this
mm,
this kind of bond and closeness.
this is something actually a friend of mine taught me. because when I grew up in England, and I have to say that I had this mentality of categorizing my friends. Oh, this is my friend for when I do this, and this is my friend when I go clubbing, and this is my friend when I do that. These
Mm-hmm.
were like different categories, just like mental categories that I had for my friends. And he said to me, because he's Iranian and he grew up in Iran, and friendship in Iran and in Iranians is a very different thing
Yeah.
to the kind of friendships that I sort of seem to have had. And the friendships are like this. My friend's dad was walking in the village one day, and some guy said something nasty to his dad, to my friend's. Now, my friend had a best friend, or had one of his friends. When the word got around the village that this guy had said something bad to my friend's dad, his friend was outside the other guy's house to
Mm-hmm.
ready to kill him before even my friend even heard about it, to go there and confront the guy about what he said.
Yeah.
So that's what he talks about when he was saying to me, you keep your friendships at this like arm's length distance. You don't ever let anyone get really close and become that like a brother to you, rather than
Yeah.
just this person. You have associates, you don't have friends.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize that if you want to have friends, you have to let yourself be vulnerable, just like you would
Yes.
in a relationship. And you can't just always keep them at this arm's length. You have to get, and that's when you form real
So
relationships,
let me
real
tell
core.
you the reason for this arm's length bullshit. Because I have this fucking problem. And the problem with me is that, like, my relationships, the dysfunctional ones, were the ones that felt familiar and comfortable to me. So when I actually start getting into a situation where
You just
it's,
disconnected.
oh,
Okay, you're back now. You're back.
yeah?
Mm-hmm. You had
Okay.
a moment where you disappeared, but then you're back. Keep going.
So basically, because, when your relationships with your family is so bad, you kind of just like build up these defense mechanisms to protect yourself from really connecting with someone, which is something that I do. Like, as soon as it starts getting overwhelming to feel so much for somebody, or feel like, wow, I really like this person, there's just like an instinct within me to run away and like keep them there. Like, I don't want you near me, because the closer you get, the more easily you can hurt me. It is like a fear.
Exactly.
There's a fear involved with it. But that has to do with past trauma, right? Like, if you're a healthy,
Yeah, I
adjusted
mean,
human being, it's
yes.
probably easier. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
It's a fear. It is. You're right. It is a fear factor. It
Yeah.
is a fact that you don't want to be hurt again,
Hmm.
and so you keep people, because as long as they're at a distance, at a safe distance,
Yeah, you
they
can't
can
hurt
never
me.
really hurt you. They can't, yeah, exactly, get under your skin and do the, to do the things that the people you allowed in to do
Hmm.
to you. So yeah, there is of course a level of fear that you don't want to be hurt again. And
Hmm.
I can totally, I can totally get that. But you can never form those types of
No,
connections
that's what I'm
unless you
learning.
that happen. So unfortunately, it's a bit of a bit of a trap. You have to allow yourself to be. It's not really a trap. I'll take it back. That sounds like you're forced into it. It's a choice. It's a choice between fear and love. That's the
So
choice you have to
true.
make. Do you
Yes.
want to love? Do you want to be loved? Or do you just want to always remain in a perpetual state of fear? Are you going
What
to
is this
allow fear
bullshit?
to
I am
dominate you?
afraid to actually be happy. Isn't that insane? Like, how fucking mental is it that your relationship with your parents and your family sets the tone for every other fucking relationship you're going to have in life? And like, unless you
It does.
figure that out, you are going to be in a whirlwind of shit your whole life, and never going to let anybody get close enough to you to actually have something real. Or
Mm.
you could have like the best experiences of your life really opening up to somebody. And like, it's scary, but it's like exhilarating, kind of, you know what I mean? You're like, I just like, I want more, so I'm just going to, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. This is the thing. It's I mean, I'm not gonna put it down as, oh, your life is gonna suck shit.
Yeah.
Your life may not actually suck that hard, and it may actually just be fine. You'll always have these slightly distant relationships, these kind of almost temporary relationships with everyone, but you'll never be hurt. You'll never let anyone upset you on
But then you
on a
numb
deep
out,
level.
you know?
But also you will never, yeah, but you will never love either.
Yeah.
You'll never really experience true devotion and true
Mm-hmm.
love of anyone. You may end up, and this will sort of project itself into other types of relationships. It'll
Yes.
project into, not, it won't just stay. If you think that this will just stay with your friends, it won't. It'll go
Mm,
into your relationship with the man, woman,
I
whatever partner you
know.
decide. It'll
Zimzer.
be the,
My
yeah,
Zimzer.
exactly. It'll be with your Zinzer. It'll be with your children, possibly. It'll be with your parents. It'll reverberate in across the ripples of this stone that you drop in the pond will surround the whole pond
Mm-hmm.
eventually. And so it won't, if you think that if you're just doing this with friends and it will just remain with friends, and you are so wonderfully clever that you can actually control the type of
Yeah,
relationships you have with
please.
everyone in
You
your life,
can't. You
you don't.
can't.
Yeah, you don't have that kind of control. You don't have that kind of ability. No one does. What you will end up is either you'll forever be a distant person to everyone,
Mm.
or you will have to give up on this and be vulnerable and let yourself be possibly hurt. You have to let that
Vulnerability is a
possibility
strength
happen.
though. And like the only way you can really temper the pain that you receive from being vulnerable is by practicing being vulnerable and letting the petty shit hurt you and like understand that feeling and don't let it bother you over time.
Mm.
Like what else is there to do? You just got to live that shit, right?
Mm,
It all
yeah,
takes
and also,
practice.
yeah, and as I said, you have to come to terms with pain and hardship and suffering
Mhm.
being a potential aspect of life. It is
Mhm.
aspect. This is the Buddhist philosophy around it, is that
Life is
life is
suffering.
suffering.
Mhm.
And this is what they're talking about, that all the various things you get into from the moment you're born and you feel hungry and you feel cold and you feel thirsty and you feel all of these pains, these sufferings of life, to your relationships and to all the things, there are, it is a state of suffering, but you
Mhm.
can rise above it by changing your attitude, your
Yes.
perspective to suffering and to what you consider pain. What you used to think was painful is now a source of pleasure.
Mhm.
This is experienced by athletes and bodybuilders and people like that all the time,
It really is a
where a
perception
state
thing.
of,
Like how
yes, a
you
state of
perceive your
suffering.
experience is how your experience is. It's a
Yeah,
very like
absolutely.
simple mechanism. Just to
Yeah.
recognize that makes a load of difference. So this is something I've
Yeah.
noticed in myself as I'm aging, right? Like so much of like my inability or my refusal to really connect with people on a deeper level comes from constantly building up walls and defense mechanisms to protect myself as a child from being hurt by the world. You know,
Yeah.
like when
Yeah.
shit happened to me, I was super young, right? I don't think that I was like, I wasn't even prepared to cope with just how devastating it actually was to separate from my family. I don't think you really realize how much it screws you up
Oh,
until
I can
you're
imagine. Yeah.
much older. You know, now it's like I'm having all these realizations. I'm 30 years old. I've been out of the house for, 15, 16 years. So it's just it always hits me in such a weird way to think like me and all my erratic behavior and not being able to deal with reality, that was me trying to cope with the emotional tsunami that hit my life at 14 years old. And it's affected
Mm.
all my relationships. Now imagine this, right? I'm surrounded by such good people and I do this thing where I get like anxious and I freak out and then I like just retreat into myself and I hide away and I ignore people because I don't want to deal with their shit. I don't want to know if you even care that I exist right now. That's how averse I am to just actually opening up and saying like, you know what? I need something. I need you. I need love right now. I need support right now. But it's like I'm so used to not getting it that you protect yourself from being rejected from it cuz man, that sucks.
Yeah,
That actually
yeah, it
sucks.
does.
Not having support, not having family, not having friends, being all alone. It's actually such a terrifying experience. So, like, I have pride issues too, because when people want to tell
Mm.
me, like, you could use my help, you could need me, I respond with ego and I'm like, fuck you. I can do this shit myself. I don't need you. And then I'm like, no, you're failing
I
to connect.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I would phrase it as you may not need them, but you should want them. That's what
Exactly.
you should
Yeah, that's
look
my
into.
thing
It's
too.
not that you can live without them. Sure, you can live as a hermit, and be solid, live in solitude for the rest of your life, and eventually you'll die. There's millions of creatures on this planet
Eh.
come and go all day, every day. Every year something dies. Millions of things, in fact, die that have lived their entire lives in whatever state that they were in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, you can live your life and you can die and never be remembered by anyone and insignificant to the world, and which is 99% of what most people are going to end up in. But the fact is, do you want to do that? Do you choose? What do you choose? Because ultimately, this is where I want to express is, whatever state that you find yourself, it is a choice. This is why I love Bill Hicks's ending of It's a Ride.
It's all just a
It's a
ride.
choice. It is a choice, and this is just a ride, and it is a choice between love and hate, between acceptance and rejection. We make it is up to us. Ultimately, it is up to us as an individual to make these choices, to make
Mm-hmm.
the hard choices, and to make the easy choices. You can choose to be better, and you can choose to live your life the way you want, but you have to recognize that some of the choices come with consequences. You can choose the safe path and never be hurt by another human being,
That
but
and
you can also,
commitment is hard. I have commitment issues. Okay. I fucking
yeah,
have such bad commitment issues. I'm over here like, I love commitment. It's my favorite. Hey, asshole, how about start something or finish something you've started? Because, like, my life is just like a list of a million things that I started and just never gave myself enough time. I tried a million things. I liked a few of
yes.
those things along the way. I just did not commit to them long enough to do
Mm.
something with it proper, and it's so
Yeah.
fucking annoying.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I
that's
mean, we all,
everything.
you are not alone in this. I myself have experienced the exact same things, and I'm further along down the road of this journey than you. And I've made bad choices. I've made choices dominated by fear. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my choices, when I look back at a lot of my choices, I mean, I can literally tell you that I had to. There was a time when all I had to do was make the choice, and of not giving into my fears. And right now, I'd be sitting with you, and this is like almost 100% certain, with wife and two kids, which is exactly what the girl that I was with did when she got married to a guy who was practically a clone of me. But I gave into fear that, oh no, I'm not good enough for this girl. I'll never be able
Mm.
to give this girl what she needs or what she wants, and she's just too good for me. So I gave in. I gave up. I gave into my fears, and she literally. I went to her wedding, and my brother said to me, "Oh my fucking god, dude! She married your clone. She's
Yeah.
like found the clone of you, and she married, and you were constantly telling me about how you're not good enough for this girl, and she went
Mm.
and found another one of you. She clearly was into you, you stupid asshole. What have you done?"
Isn't that
So
brutal? That's so
yeah, it
brutal.
was a brutal lesson of
Yeah.
giving into fear, because that's what I did. I gave into all my insecurities, all my fears, and I allowed them to dominate
Oh
my
my god.
choice.
Honestly,
It
that story
happens.
crushes me the most because I'm such a romantic. I'm like it's all about the love of your life. You know what I mean?
It could have been very much so, but what I mean
Oh,
is, it's the way it is. I
I
mean,
know.
there's many mistakes that we all make in life, and when you reflect on it, all you can do is say, okay, I won't do that again. That's
Yeah.
all you can do, because time is, unfortunately, none of us have a DeLorean at hand in order to
No.
correct these things. So all you are able to do is say, look, fine, I made those mistakes, I learn from them, I move on. But certainly, have a sense of perspective and a sense of what's it called, to be brave enough to actually have those reflective thoughts, and sit down and think about your life and say, okay, what choices did I make that were good, what choices did I make that were terrible, and take the next step from that point onwards. It's never over till you're dead. That's the
Yeah,
number
and just
one thing.
like one thing that you need to, like, the handshake that you need to have with life is that, hey, you will be broken again and again and again and again and again and again, and the whole fucking point is just to keep getting up to get broken again. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
enjoy the struggle, like enjoy the suffering. You have to find a way to
Enjoy the ride.
just get acquainted with the fact that there are things that cannot be changed about this deal that you got in life, and that is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, again,
It's a little
everything I'm
defeatist
saying.
though, isn't it? Because I feel like that attitude also holds me back from actually trying. Is like, well, you're gonna be broken again,
No,
so
no, no, no.
why? Stupid.
No, but that's the thing. I actually is again. I think maybe it's a perspective thing, but
Yeah.
I don't see it as a defeatist thing. I see it as a encouragement to keep getting up and chipping away at life again the next day, because things. There's this video on YouTube. Actually, it's a Buddhist guy or it might be a Hindu guru who says, "This too shall pass."
Mm-hmm.
So whatever state you find yourself in life, and I think I actually see myself as somewhat fortunate, because I don't find myself in a very depressive, deprived sort of period in my life. I find myself in a rich period of my life,
Good.
where so much experiences are still to be had, and I've had some really wonderful experiences at the same time. So I don't see myself in that state. But there are a lot of people who find themselves, young people, old people, in a state where they think that life can't possibly get any better. This is horrific, miserable. There are people who are suicidal, who think that I just got to end the pain. The pain ends in time.
Yes.
Everything passes. This too will pass. Whatever state you find yourself out there in the world, it will pass. It simply
You
will
know what it
pass.
is too? Is like, no matter what difficulty you're facing, every difficulty is adding that much more value to your good times. The worst
Exactly.
times you have, the more you appreciate the good times. You
The
need
good
it.
times.
You need
good
the
times will
bad
be
to
far
understand the value of the good. Like, that's just,
the good times will be far richer, far sweeter, far more wonderful than you can possibly imagine. The drinks you drink will taste sweeter than that have ever tasted, because you went through the shit. You went through
oh
the
my God,
hardships.
Banksy. Like, isn't it just such a great experience to sit across the table from somebody you really fucking like and just eat a meal with them? Dude, food
Exactly.
tastes better when you're with people you like.
You like.
Everything
Absolutely.
is better when you're around people that you really like. Like, food tastes better. Everything, like, smoking weed is better. Smoking a cigarette is better. Having a
Everything.
drink is better. Everything is better. Yet
Yes.
constantly we're always trying to just run away from this kind of connection that actually has been scientifically proven to contribute to our well-being the most, is having good relationships with people. Meaningful
And the funny thing
relationships.
is that this age of social media, despite its claims and its this sort of propaganda, I guess, and the guise of connecting people, it's actually separating more
Oh my God,
people,
yes.
because again, like you said, with the fake Facebook friends and the
Perception
Instagram
management.
comments.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these conversations, we're having a heart to heart right now. People don't have these.
Well, I mean, the conversation we're having, sure, it's fruitful and it's wonderful, but I'll promise you, this conversation is always better in person.
Oh,
This
yeah. Oh,
conversation
yeah.
is much better to have with someone in front of you, a drink or a meal with,
I
than you
agree.
would over some texts or some internet thing. So as much as I love the fact that we have this opportunity, you and I live in very different worlds. If it wasn't technology, we would never know each other's
Doesn't it make
existence.
you a little sad? Like, as soon as I meet people or like talk to people over the internet that I really get along with, I'm like, well, the next natural step is to meet you and spend time
To
with
hang
you,
out,
because we have
sure.
such a nice time together. Why would we not
Oh yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, that's another thing aside. But what I mean is the benefits of this technology is that yes, I'm talking to someone that under any other circumstance I would never know existed. You and I would never be aware of each other's existence other than this sphere of technology or this time in human evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, as much as this technology brings us like you and I together and other people connected, it is still not the same
No,
as
no, it's not.
human
You're
being.
right.
Don't ever,
You're
if
right.
there's a message for me to give out to anyone, is don't ever sacrifice a face-to-face meeting with a human being
Yes.
for a night on the internet.
It's all meat space is what it's all about.
And I say that immediately being a hypocrite because I have
Yes.
a house guest who I'm ignoring, who's sitting behind me, and I'm chatting to you. So I say that as a hypocrite of the thing that I say.
I hope I'm not
I
taking
have
too
not
much of your
forgotten
time.
about that.
Is that okay? I don't want to be cutting into
No,
that.
no, no. He's fine. He's fine. I already told him that this tonight. He's going to spend the whole weekend with me. He's not going. He's going to be here till Monday. So we're gonna have plenty of time to hang out
Okay.
and chill and talk. So yeah, no, he knew tonight was booked up. I'm just saying it because I know that anyone else on my other stream knows that I have a house guest, and they're like, "You fucking hypocrite, bitch! What are you chatting shit to me for?" So I'm preempting all the negative all the negative feedback that I'm going to get
Whatever.
from the fact that I've got a live person, if in fact that I could sit down and discuss and talk and catch up on, and yet I'm giving that up for a conversation on the internet.
I
But
mean,
that's
it's a
not
little bit different because
because
it's Aimee
yeah.
time. It's not just like it's not like
Well, that's
I'm
it.
not Hassan,
That's not
okay?
no, exactly. It's not like anyone. It's just this is Aimee time.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm
We
not
always have
giving
a
this
good
up.
time. Like I feel like I like your energy. Like there's certain people that you're around that you just really want to be around them because it's always a positive, happy time. Why would I not want to maximize that? Mathematically, it just
Exactly.
seems like the thing to do.
Of course, it's probably the reason why people take drugs. Because it's so good. You see, that's the thing. The government tells you this is actually from Train Spotting, which most of you might not have even been alive when the first one came out. But it says the reason people take drugs isn't because of all the horrible things that the government tells you the drugs do to you. It's because they're really, really fucking good.
It's actually insane how much of a lubricant it is for relationships. Because like my friend Brian and I, we will I don't know, like at least twice a year, I try to do mushrooms or acid with him.
Nice.
And like we have our time where we trip out a little bit, but then we sit down for hours afterwards and we just talk about so many things. We go down the list of all our mutual friends and we just talk shit, like let's actually assess this person. What is this person's behavior like? And like you find when you're talking about these things that you have a real aversion to people who don't share your core values. Like, dude, as soon as I recognize somebody as petty, I'm like, why am I spending energy on this person? Like, you're willing
Yeah.
to cause disruption in a relationship over such a stupid fucking problem. Why do I have you here? Obviously, the relationship is not important to you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't value friendship. Again, you're one of these people who are just making friendly noises at me. And like, you want to waste your time less and less as you age with people who are fucking idiots like that. I don't need your drama, dude. I was in high school 15, 20, whatever years ago. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Are people actually still even talking about the time they had at high school? I honestly, I don't even know there's anyone that even gives two shits about the time we had at high school.
What I mean
when I
is,
was
like,
at high
there's a
school.
behavior that's prevalent in people that just is so akin to the people I dealt with in high school. Like,
Wow. Oh,
starting
I
shit
see.
over
I'm
nothing
with
and,
you.
like,
I'm
being
with you. It's just a high
petty.
school behavior.
Yes, it's so fucking juvenile. And I'm like, what? I'm not interested in this.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. I wouldn't. I mean, as I get older, my time becomes more precious, and I suffer fools less. And so, yeah, if I find that, unless there is a comedic angle to it, if there's some kind of trolling event or something, but I say this all the time on my show and on occasions that I find myself sort of discussing people, is there's a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. It says, "Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people." And so I keep running that through my head, that if I'm having a conversation with someone, what am I discussing here? Are we discussing
Dude,
events,
I talk shit about people all
or
the time,
ideas?
but like for me, when I'm talking about people, it's always a behavior thing. I need to analyze behavior because I like understanding psychology. You know what I mean? That's one of my, because that's how I fix my own fucking stupid brain. I need to understand these
Exactly.
things in order to reprogram myself, essentially. So there's no way that if I'm so hypercritical of my own bullshit, that I'm not going to be fucking hypercritical of yours. If I'm not accepting of shit that I'm doing, don't think you're going to fucking get away with it.
Exactly. Yeah,
No, no,
that's
no,
it.
no. I'm not letting me fuck with me. You think I'm going to let you fuck with me too? Like, I don't think so.
Oh no, you didn't.
No. No, 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 no. I know your fucking game, big boy. Not over here. And as a girl, too, it's so easy to be taken advantage of because we're like,
Yes.
you know, we're generally pretty meek and quiet. But I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm too old for
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. And yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's an age thing. As you get older, you just start to sort of, you just don't get as, first of all, you don't get as bothered with the kind of petty shit people come out with, but also you just don't suffer those people either. You, if they're insisting to be around you or to be in your life, and you find them insufferable, you just, it's very, I'm actually very brutal at that. There are like there were many examples where at work, a friend from work who was someone who, because work is a place where you don't choose. It's kind of like family. You don't choose the people you work with all the
Yeah.
time. You just you're thrown in together because you got this common work aspect. You're not really people you picked to hang out with. And if there are people like that at work where I just can't stand them, you'll find me very brutally just like them. Banksy, do you want to go out tonight to get a few drinks? It's like, oh, it's that guy. No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I
Yeah.
just like, no. But then literally a minute later, someone else who I like could go, hey, do you want to grab a few drinks at such and such a place? I'm like, yeah, sure. And the guy knows immediately the reason I said no is not because I don't want to have drinks that night, it's because you. It's
But
because
that's
of
super
you.
useful. Like for that person, if you honestly say you're busy when you're busy, or you want, like, you know how people will just say, oh, I'm busy, instead of, no, I actually just don't want to hang out with you? People
I
don't
mean,
realize that there's something about them that puts other people off unless they're told the truth. So why are we constantly lying and not letting each other know, dude, I just like, I have to stand you for work, but outside of that, I'm not really interested.
exactly.
That,
Well, that's
and
the
then they
thing.
never get the chance to like understand there's something there they need to reflect on that makes people not want to spend time with them. You know?
I know. I know. This is the thing. It's like my free time is my free time.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
not suffer you outside of this place of
Yeah,
work.
I get paid for this. You understand the deal
Yeah.
here? I get a
Yeah, I
paycheck.
get paid to suffer you
Yes.
and put up with your shit in this place. But outside of this place, you have no hold on me.
Yeah.
You have you have nothing that you can dictate who I should not hang out with
Right.
outside of this location. So for that reason, no, I'm not hanging out with you. I will, I have a million better things to do on any given day. So I have choice. You see, that's the other thing as well. I think it's important is, as long as you have choice in your life, you have good people around you, you've built up a good group of friends that you really like and you want to hang out with them, then you are never, spoiled for choice. You're never, well, you're spoiled for choice, but you're never so desperate to go, oh, I better hang out with this guy because I haven't had
I
another human
never.
contact for
Yeah,
you
like
for
I never
months.
want to be the person that somebody's like, I need to have you. No. want to have me. Like, naturally want to have me. If you don't, that's cool, dog. I don't expect you to want me all the time. But be honest about that. We're not going to want each other all the time. Sometimes I want to hang out with someone else. Sometimes I just want to be on my own. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
okay. It's not a big deal.
I
It's
mean, at any
okay.
given time, absolutely. At any given time, I have so many things that I mean, to be honest with you, at my age, I'm most of the time I just want to sleep. I just want to get home
You make
and
yourself
get some
sound so
fucking
old.
sleep.
How old are you
I
actually?
I'm older than you.
Oh, are you
I'm
one of
putting it
those?
that way.
Are you one of those guys who's not comfortable with your age? That's so
No,
weird to
I'm just
me.
not comfortable with telling the world my age because
Okay,
you see,
okay, all
I have
right.
a lot of people on the internet who
Yeah.
will use that against me and they will take a giant
You're a
piss.
rabble rouser, so it is a problem for you. You
Exactly.
can't
I have
even
I have
say
a
it.
lot of people who hate my guts. I'm not joking. There's a lot of people who despise me, especially because I talk quite frankly about the religion of Islam. So for that
All
reason,
right.
I have a lot of people who despise me, and because of that, they will use whatever I give them personally, my age, my weight, my height, whatever I tell them, they will use that against me. So that's why I keep them on their toes by never giving out too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to tell you in a PM
That's
situation
fine.
or a thingy, but as far as those guys are concerned, no, you're not getting it.
Okay, so this is what's happening right now is I need to quickly use the ladies' room. I need to get another
Oh,
beverage.
okay,
So do you
no
think you can
worries.
entertain for a few
I
moments?
will. I'll hold it. I'll hold it down. I'll
I
hold down the
appreciate
fort.
you. You're
Get the
excellent.
Banksy.
Yeah, get the Banksy. I'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls. Here we are. We got the Aimee show, the Aimee K show, who's now become dominated by yet another man. The misogyny is everywhere. The patriarchy has taken over yet another YouTuber's channel. Us men can't be given fucking any room at all. You see, here's a successful uh YouTuber, female YouTuber who's trying to make her way, but no, yet another man comes and takes over. And the patriarchy wins another trophy. I have absolutely nothing to talk about. So far, what I have noticed is the only thing we haven't talked about is Stranger Things on this Stranger Things live channel. So I guess we will have to somehow claw it back to Stranger Things. Although we have been talking about friends and friendship, which is, I guess, a good theme that will run into Stranger Things because clearly Stranger Things is about a group of friends and the relationships they form, during these traumatic times that they have together. So I presume that somehow this is Amy's very clever and well planned and thought out method of circling all of this conversation we've had about relationships and people and friends to Stranger Things. I have no idea. I have no fucking idea. I'm sitting here chatting shit right now at this point, guys. I don't even know what people are saying in the live chat because I don't
I'm
even have the
back.
live chat. Aha. And
Sorry.
Amy's back.
I didn't mean to
That
leave you
was
for so long.
that was very quick. No, it's okay. It's okay. The guys in the stream are good. Hey, we have Wanksy. Wanksy,
Hi, Wanksy.
big up Wanksy. So yeah, Wanksy's there. What else? Who else do we have? We have Scientific Method, and a few others. I was just actually trying to see what the chat was saying because I was while you were away, I was making a claim to this channel because patriarchy has now fully taken over yet another female YouTuber.
The
The patriarchy, the tentacles.
patriarchy. You know, I've actually made my peace with the patriarchy because the patriarchy brought us so many things that have made our modern lives so easy. So I'm just going to crack open a can to that.
Oh, nice. What is that?
So
What are you drinking?
this is there's a brewery here in downtown Vancouver called Steamworks, which is also a pretty well-known pub here. It's by the
Nice.
water in downtown. And this is their flagship Indian Pale Ale.
Indian
So,
Pale Ale.
so I got This, which was a blonde ale, it's called Naughty, Knotty, blonde ale.
Nice.
I like the lighter beers, you know?
Yeah.
I never used
I
to.
like the fact that you drink beer.
I never used to. I used to think it was so nasty, but like as I've aged, and you know what? I keep bringing it back to age, but like I'm acquiring taste for things as I grow older because I'm like, okay, maybe I can appreciate something differently and not be
Yes.
such a like, you know, when you're a kid, you're like, that's not cool. I don't want to do that.
I know.
And
I
as you get
know.
older, you're like, I don't
I
care
spent
what's
many
cool.
years. That's true. I spent many years drinking shit that I thought was manly, and then
Yeah.
I finally discovered the inner female in me, and I you know, I embrace cocktails.
I mean, what is wrong with that? It's not that weird. That's something that tastes good you want to drink. And alcohol tastes
I know, but
like shit.
as far
So
as
like
yeah,
you want to make it taste good, right?
I know. But the thing is, as far as men are concerned, if it doesn't taste like turpentine or diesel, then it's clearly not manly
Oh my
alcohol.
god, this is like people who are like, you're not a real man if you don't have a beard. Bro, get the fuck
You
out of here,
know?
okay? First of all, your beard is gross. I do not need a catalog of what you have eaten all fucking day from the smells
Yeah.
in your beard. Stop
Well,
it with
that's
that
the other.
shit.
Yeah, it's true. This is the hipster thing, though. What do you, as a woman? I mean, I know we still haven't at this point talked about Stranger Things, but I'm sure we'll
We'll get
circle to
there,
that
don't worry.
soon enough. But as far as a woman with this whole hipster full beard trend, how do you find beards
I'm not for
on
it.
men?
I'm not for it.
No, you like a clean shaven man.
Yeah, it's gross. To me, beard hair is like pussy hair. No.
Oh,
I'm so
Brazilian
sorry.
all the way.
Yeah, it just needs to be gone for as long as possible, as much as possible.
Wow, wow,
Clean shaven's
that's
good. I mean,
yeah.
like, if you can keep a little mustache, like you got a little goatee, it looks cute on you, that's a
Mm,
different thing. But, like, those large beards are just,
mm,
ugh.
yeah,
Give me a
yeah. I've
break
had.
with that shit.
But how about the ones that are like just well trimmed? They don't go to neck beard.
Yeah,
They
I
just sort
mean,
of
that's
stay.
fine. It looks good. I just don't like
It's a, it's
the
a
big
oh
ass.
the full. Oh, okay, okay. That full bush,
Yeah, I'm
the
not into
full
that.
bush. That is true. That is true. But I mean, for me, the weird thing is when I actually have girlfriends, I tend to shave my even this goatee because
Yeah.
the bristles are quite short because I keep them all very short.
Mm-hmm.
But they can be quite irritative.
Ticklish?
Ticklish, and
Yes.
also like they get the irritation around their own mouth. You know, when we're kissing, they get irritated
Yes.
around their lips, and I
Dude,
feel
this area
even
right
though,
here, if you've got chin hair
yeah,
and your
yeah,
chins are
and
rubbing.
also yeah, and also when you go visit downtown,
Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, when we go, when we go there, things get a little bit. It can get quite irritative for them. I don't know, but you see, this is the weird thing. I've had girlfriends who I've shaved my beard, my goatee, and everything, and
Yeah.
they hated it. They absolutely hated it. They
You got a
wanted me
baby
to grow it
face
back.
though, right?
I do. I do
Like
have, and it
if you
drops.
don't have facial hair, you look very young, is what I'm saying.
It does drop quite a few years off me,
Yeah.
but it's not just that. It's the fact that they liked it. They became attracted to me because of the goatee
Yes.
and because of the whole look. So when I shave it, because when I'm with them I feel like they're going to get irritated with it, they
Mm-hmm.
don't want it. They want me to grow it back out. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag of things with ladies, but I'm always super super conscious, especially when I'm downtown. So
Downtown.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Got you.
So yeah, so when I'm going there, I always feel that it's got to be irritating her, or somehow not good. So yeah, there's a conflict that I always find myself in a bit of a conflict when I've got full time, when I'm with a girl full time. But
Yeah.
generally, if I if she's happy with it, I'm happy with it. I'll have a little facial foliage.
You're so cute.
it
It's all silver. It's like silver and gray and black too. I
is
like the
it
salt
is
and pepper
really
look. I'm actually into the salt and pepper look.
it is a bit, yeah,
That
yeah. I mean,
silver in the
I've
hair
just,
too, when it starts getting silver, that shit's
yeah,
hot, man.
there isn't a lot there to get silver.
But I mean, if there was, it would be salt and pepper.
There would be theoretically, possibly, yes. The scientists have estimated that if this head would have hair, that there may potentially have been a silver and gray sort of
So
combination.
cute.
But
You a
that
bald
we
ass
can only,
nigga, so
yeah,
we
we
should
can only
stop
assume
talking
that
about
from.
hair.
It's like dinosaurs. Scientists don't know what color dinosaurs were actually had, because they don't, fossils don't have color.
Yeah.
So they can only make up the colors based on like reptiles we have today. And that's kind of the same theme with my head, is that scientists can't absolutely know
Well, no
what it
knowledge
would have
is
actually looked
absolute,
like.
my sweet Banksy.
This is an artist's impression of what I would look like with hair.
Oh man. See, like my grandma has like, she's like 80 years old. Her hair is like still like mine, but it's all silver and shit. It looks awesome.
Nice, nice. But yeah, I mean, I actually think that older people, men and women, should embrace their age. I think we find too many women.
I mean, what
especially,
else are you gonna do?
yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong. I get the whole sexual market value, the was it SMV, which is most men gauge women's sexual market value when it comes to their age, their childbearing capabilities is what most men are valuing women, because that's
Yeah, but
that's,
what
you
does
know, that's,
hair tell you? Do you know what hair?
well,
Hair is one of those indicators of good fertility and good genes, because if the hair is healthy, what's in the body is healthy.
true, but white hair is obviously an indicator of age,
Yeah, oh,
and
that's
thus
fine. I don't know why I went off on a tangent. Sorry.
yeah, silver white obviously shows that this individual is past a certain age, thus they're probably past their prime
How do
as
you
far as
feel about
childbearing.
aging? Are you afraid to age? Because I'm not afraid to age.
Um, it's not whether I'm afraid or not. It's irrelevant. I think
But I
fear
mean,
is
like, do you have
irrelevant.
a
It's
thing with
simply
it?
something that's gonna happen.
Like, every year, I have friends who are like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm 32. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but it's inevitable. I mean, it's literally something you cannot possibly have any control over.
Well,
Things that
no.
are beyond my control, things like my hair, my age, I have no opinion even on, because it is something that is going to happen whether I like it or not. The only things I have issues with is actually my weight, because that is up to me. I have control over that to a large extent, and so I have to be better at that. And if I'm failing, then that is on me. That is solely square on my shoulders. So I have to then take responsibility for that. But I can't take responsibility for age. I
So,
can't take
in the great
responsibility.
words of Bill Burr, would you rather look 51 when you're 51 or look like a 28-year-old lizard? No, because he was talking about ladies who get plastic surgery, right? They get their skin stretched out over their faces, and it's like, what is wrong with being 51 and looking 51? If you're trying
Exactly.
to look like you're in your 20s again, it's not going to happen. Just enjoy your 20s.
Well, this is the thing. This is the weird thing I've seen. I mean, I have my mum's friends are some are her age, some are actually much younger, but there's a couple of them who have, I think, an unhealthy obsession with plastic surgery. And these are two totally individual people who have actually never even, I don't think, even met each other.
Yeah.
And yet, if you see pictures of them side by side, you would think they're either related or they're somehow connected, because this plastic surgery thing with the facelifts and the nose jobs and general look, they haven't figured it out properly. So everybody starts to look the same.
Yeah.
They start to have that cat look about them, and they have the same sort of nose, the same sort of facial features, and the cheekbones and everything. And I'm like, these people look like the clones of some hideous Frankenstein monster that that went a bit wrong. It's like, it's unbelievably unattractive. And this is the weird conflict, is that they are doing all this to look more attractive.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, the more you look at them, you are less attracted to them. Although you, as a man, and this is my brother, we were both talking about it, as a man, your brain is telling you this should be attractive, and yet it's freaking you out. you're
Because it's not
scared, and
natural. Like, there's a difference between a girl who naturally has the symmetry and the nose and all the features that everybody is trying to imitate, and the girl who is trying to imitate that. And it's also very weird. Like, Kim Kardashian is my biggest example here. Like,
mm,
she was so beautiful. I don't know why she did anything to her face, to her body. Like, she was perfect. But she got the ass injection. She got that nose. She gets those injections. The face is like you need to look like you're always making the duck face in your resting
yeah,
face. It's so
yeah. It's weird. And the thing is, it's only going to get worse as she gets older. By the way, she's actually
yeah.
still. I don't know how old she is. Is she in her 30s or something right now? But it's only going to get worse because she will keep getting older. The face starts to, you lose collagen. You start to lose, you get bags under your eyes, all that stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
she'll go and do more plastic surgery to get rid of those things, and then she'll look even worse than
You know
before.
what's crazy is
And
like it's so weird to me to I'm so self-conscious. I like making sure my face looks nice. I do put on mascara. I put no other makeup on. Just because I feel like if you're not comfortable with how you look, and also that shit just ruins your skin. You know what I mean? Like
I'm sure
just
the
be okay with your
foundation.
face. What's wrong with your face? If you're
Well, I
not
mean,
ugly, be
moisturize.
happy. Count your blessings. There are some fucking ugly motherfuckers out there, and I feel bad for them because we do care about appearances,
We do,
right?
and
But
unfortunately, yeah, some people do lose badly in the. I mean, I'm not saying I'm pit over here, but
yeah, me
some people
too.
really lose out on the gene
Yes.
pool lottery,
Yeah, just be glad
and
you're not that
others,
person. Nobody picked the way they look. Nobody picked their
yeah,
parents, right? Like, we're just born. This is how we look. It's like we have to be okay. There's ugly, there's pretty, and there's
you
a
know.
spectrum with everything, you know?
Well, if this was a social justice show, I would say that beauty's on the inside, but I would also at the same time quote Liar Liar, who said to his kid when the kid said, "My teacher says beauty's on the inside," he says,
Mm.
"That's just something ugly people say."
Yeah. Here's a weird question for you too is I feel like people who are really ugly on the outside really try and play up their outer appearance because they're really working on that perception management angle. You know what I mean? They're
Mm,
putting on that makeup. Oh my god, Banksy, these girls who spend hours a day contouring their face and making it look entirely different than what it looks like is the most insane
yeah.
thing to me.
Yeah,
Like
I've seen those makeup tutorials and
they're
and
crazy.
yeah, that's that. I don't know. I mean, have you seen the videos of people who put up pictures of a girl on Instagram, like Instagram
Instagram
versus
versus
reality?
reality, yes.
Oh, they are the best. They
Oh my
are the
god, like
best. I love
you're like,
those.
oh my god, look at this girl's ass. It's so perfect. And next thing you know, I'm scrolling through Reddit. I see that exact picture on Instagram versus reality, and it's like, dude, her ass is clearly edited. It is the flattest ass of life.
Yes,
And
yes.
somehow it passes because you're just scrolling. You don't take the time to actually
Yeah,
look closely at it.
exactly.
People
And
are
it's not just that.
photoshopping all their shit.
All the time, and it's not just that, it's like the same picture but from a different, slightly different angle, shows all the cellulite and
Yeah.
all the dimples and all this, and suddenly that same perfect ass looks horrific from
Yeah.
a different angle.
So, like, can you imagine? I'm so lucky that as a young girl, I didn't grow up with that shit on top of just seeing all the magazines and stuff, right? Because
Well,
it really gives you an
exactly.
idea as a young girl. This is what boys like. This is what people like. You notice that gets a lot of attention, and that's what
Mm,
generally you're gonna strive for because you are a player in the sexual market, so you have to be
yeah.
desirable. And there's all these
Well, even
crazy standards, not because of white people, just because of Photoshop. There's crazy beauty standards
yeah.
because of Photoshop.
Yeah, I mean, and it's literally unattainable. I mean, literally unattainable looks, because these are looks that have been digitally done. You might as well be looking at an alien from like Star Wars or Star Trek. You cannot look like that. Even the women who are in those photos don't look like that.
Yeah,
They are
don't you feel like
literally.
I liked porn so much more when it wasn't in HD. Like now that it's in HD and you can see every imperfection, it really does distract from what's happening. Like some chick is getting pounded to fuck and all I'm noticing is this little blemish on her ass. I'm like, what is that?
Oh
What
my
am I
god! Oh
looking
my
at?
god!
It's
I
just
wish I had your
there.
problem. I wish I had that problem. My problem goes beyond
I wish I
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with porn goes actually beyond the little dimples or little this or that on their ass. I
Oh,
have
you've
now,
worked there.
yeah, after a good few years of actually working on sets, what I notice more than I do even the girls' imperfections is the sets imperfections, the imperfections in the bed or the couch or the curtains behind her or the pillows or the rug. It's like, what the fuck am I watching here?
Yeah,
What is
what is
wrong
this
with you?
fashion faux pas? What is this feng shui? This is feng no way. I am
It's
not good with this.
terrible. I can't believe how many. I can't tell you how many times I've sat and watched a porn film and I'm looking at fucking curtains.
Oh my
I'm
god. Okay.
looking at the
So we're
set.
talking about horrific things as I'm looking at my screen right now. Can we quickly talk about Hassan Piker cuz I did catch bits of that. I was trying to listen
Yes.
to it while you were working.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So I'm trying to get on this thing right now where I probably find Hassan Piker to be one of the most annoying, dumb people in the world.
Oh
However,
yeah.
I also feel like the reaction to somebody like him is so overblown. Like, you know, when you don't like someone and you have to point out their grammatical errors like it's some kind of a fucking point? Like,
Mm.
I think he had a fair reason to be pissed off. I mean, sure, we get it. He doesn't like America. That kind of sucks. And that was kind of
Oh yeah.
obvious, right? Like, everybody kind of sussed that out about him.
Mm.
But I think I'm anti anybody who's not cool with free speech, no matter how crazy that shit is. It's like you're getting punished for being honest.
Yes, yes, I agree with you that that free speech. I mean, no, I don't think anyone here is or anyone online is even called for his arrest for what he said, and I agree with his
Which was
ability.
that the
His
USA deserved 9/11. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the USA not deserves 9/11. Why isn't a brave jihadi, skull fucking the former SEAL dude? Although you see, I agree in free speech in the sense that the government should not you should be exempt from the consequences of your speech by the government. You are not exempt from consequences of your speech by the society that you live in.
True.
That you don't get a pass on that. The society will still judge you. Doesn't matter how the government treats you or not, and the government should not treat you badly, should not even have a say on this. This is not a government thing, and I don't think the government has been involved with the Hassan's thing. This is the society or the
Mm-hmm.
world in this case giving him some shit back, and I think the shit that he's receiving. I mean, I'm not talking about the death threats or threats of violence. Those are still ridiculous, and anyone on the internet who makes these are either idiots that are trolling or they shouldn't be taken seriously. And I hope that no one actually acts upon any of these things. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, personal violence or physical violence, or I wouldn't agree with. But giving him some severe stick for the things that he said, for those things that he said specifically, is 100% deserved. Because if it was a conservative saying similar things or things about and they do when a conservative says something about Ilhan Omar, they get a fucking flood of shit. Hell, you could fucking misgender a transsexual, and if you're big enough, a celebrity, you get a world or a tsunami of shit come on you. So for him not to receive anything for saying America deserved 9/11, I don't think that's I think he shouldn't get a pass on this
But I
shit.
mean, what would you like to see happen in that situation? Just people roasting
I
him,
like
or?
I like the world to call him a cunt for several months.
But I mean,
That's
don't you
what
think
the
people are
world
doing
should
that
do.
already? Because I mean, anybody who is reasonable enough to watch Hassan Piker is going to come to the conclusion that the guy's a cunt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
But what I mean
we
is,
don't need to be told that he doesn't like America and all this shit because he obviously
mm,
doesn't. He has some great big vendetta with it.
true, true. But what I mean is, the flood of people calling him a bit of a cunt should be fine. He should get
I'm okay
literally a
with that.
tsunami of messages saying you are a bit of a cunt. Fuck you, fuck your life.
Yeah, but so
And I don't see
ultimately,
anything wrong.
this problem that we need to deal with in the world is like how we react to people we don't like or people who are clearly fucking retarded isn't the best course of action, even though we like trolling, even though we like all these things, to just
Mm.
attention starve the problem. Because I
Well,
often wonder if we really were to consider seriously how we would manage the problems of the people we do not like and of the people who are clearly unreasonable or just hate something so much. The honest way to really ignore a toddler who is whining constantly is to just ignore them.
it's true. I agree with that. But what I will say is that he does not get ignored. He gets a platform on the
I
TYT
know.
net.
I know.
He has a platform which he then spouses these moronic ideas of his to the world. So to highlight he is a moron and no one should take him seriously, and by extension no one should take TYT seriously, is I think a positive thing. I don't see that part as a negative, to simply point out and say these guys are idiots, stop fucking listening to them. But they'll still have their platform, and this will brush over Mr. Piker very quickly, and he will go right back to his cuntish behavior before long. So I don't see this as being really even a hiccup, even a stumbling block on his path to being a giant douche. He will continue with that, and this will just be a little bump in the road.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't want this to go away, and for those reasons, so that everyone will throw this back to his in his face for years to come and say, "You're a cunt. You don't
Well,
deserve
I
attention."
mean, Americans should certainly be offended at that point, and I definitely understand why. It's because, dude, you are using those same freedoms that this country affords you to say the shit that you're saying.
Exactly.
And I think it is so significantly awful that people don't recognize the freedom they have because of that particular country. So I've always been a big USA person. You know, my parents always went there
Mm.
when I was younger. All of our shopping, everything was always in the States. My stepfather always paid attention to what was happening with the US elections and the US government more than the Canadian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just something you pay attention to. And the reason is because, like, you just recognize America is a great country. There's a reason people say that stuff. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. And then to say that this, and this is a problem without even understanding that you're lucky that you have the rights to even say that this, and this is a problem, and then you're complaining about it, it's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. In all honesty, if he was in Turkey, and if he had said something egregious in the same sort of level
Yeah.
as that, he would be fucking strung up right
Mm-hmm.
now. I mean, they would literally drag him into the fucking streets and hang him on a crane. So this is the thing, that he doesn't recognize that what this communist, because he classifies himself as a communist now.
Does
That
he
this
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's straight up said it in previous things. He pretty much considers himself as a communist. If you actually see, I think on the Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson,
Oh
he
gosh.
clearly says it and he advocates for it. So no, he's not. He's not even like
So,
hiding it, or
but
he's not
like, how
pretending.
can we at least both agree that fuck Twitch?
Fuck Twitch.
Like, I don't care what anybody says. If you're
Oh, on
fucking.
Twitch.
Yeah, like he got banned off Twitch, didn't he, for saying what he said?
Oh, did he get banned off that?
I believe
Oh, I didn't
so.
realize. I didn't know about. I didn't
Oh, so
notice.
Chris told me today, and I think Dan also mentioned to me that he got banned off
Ah,
of Twitch. And personally, I think that's
well, yeah.
stupid. It's like getting banned off Twitter. Fuck you. Like,
What I would do, this is the weird thing. I wouldn't necessarily ban him off Twitch. Like
right.
again, I don't believe in these things. But what I would do is I would take away all his subscribers, so he has to build them back up again.
Yeah, but the same people would come back, you know?
I know, but at least there'll be this period of, oh fuck, I have to build this shit back up again. Like all his previous videos gets deleted, all his subscribers go away, and then he has to like start from zero. It's like being killed in a computer game where you collect all these treasures and guns and all these different things.
But I'm gonna
and
tell
then
you
the minute
something,
you're killed, you
Banksy.
lose all your loot.
Here's the reason I disagree with that even is because in terms of the status quo, I say some things that are pretty unfavorable. So I would not want to suffer that punishment for honestly saying, for example, that I'm so fucking annoyed with trans people right now or something of that nature. You know what I mean? I want to be able to say that. As long as you're not inciting violence, you should just be able to say what you want to say. I don't care if you're Hassan Piker. I don't care if you're like Cenk Uygur. Trust me, I am not a fan of either of those people. But at the same time, I want them to be able to say whatever it is they're going to say and want to say. I want to honestly know what I'm dealing with here. As long as you're not getting people together to bomb somebody, I'm fucking cool. Say whatever you want.
I agree with you. I think as a point of principle, you're right. If you truly believe in free speech, then you just have to simply take it on the chin and let it go. Because I say horrific things about Islam, Muhammad, and Allah on a very regular basis. I mean, a lot of haters are from that sphere because of what I say about Islam. And so if I were to get, a banning or a what do you call it, all my subscribers being taken away or whatever punishment for every time I say f to a prophet of Islam, then that would be pretty much every day.
Right.
I would have to suffer that pretty much every time I do a show. So yes, you're right. I mean, I think that again, the social consequences, him getting banned off Twitch, I don't agree with. You're right. I fundamentally don't agree with that. If he got some stick for it, because my show, even though I've got a tiny subscriber base, I'm barely even a blip on the YouTube radar. I still get demonetized. I still get deranked. I get all of the shit that any big right winger gets just because of my opinions and stance on Islam, possibly some political things, because I've been marked with the scarlet letter of death on my channel. So that channel still gets fucked. It doesn't matter what, even if I come out with 100 friggin' lolcat videos for the next year, they'll still screw me. So how is it that he gets to enjoy all of the left wing, if you like, privileges, and he can still say shit like that? And it's because the punishments or the sort of the punishments, I guess, that YouTube and Twitch and all these platforms hand out is uneven.
Of course, and it's because they're on the same side, though. That is the problem.
If it was even across the board, then I would say fine. Hassan should not get any stick from the platforms from this, because I don't, and I say horrific things. But I do get punished. I get stealth punished.
Yeah.
I may not get banned, but I'm getting stealth punished all the time for the things that I say, and I still keep fucking plowing, and I still keep saying what I say because I believe in what I say. So I don't care whether they stealth punish me. So if Hassan says things like that and there is no repercussion, I'm not going to say that, based on principle, you're right on all of those things. But based on the fact that my ass burns every time I say something semi-controversial, but Hassan can jump on and on the Young Turks and on Twitch and say, essentially fuck America on a daily basis, and he gets not only not punished but rewarded for it. I got to be honest, as a human being, I'm a bit pissed at that.
Of course, and it is a problem because that's the behavior that's being favored because of the left-leaning bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate thing about the whole situation is that the left really is, it's just too bad. You know what I mean? It's like it seems to be that the extreme end of the left is really animating even the most moderate of the left. So it makes it difficult to be reasonable when you're agreeing with people from such an extreme aspect of the spectrum. Right? And then like the left is fueling outrage culture to a higher degree than the right is, I find right now.
Mm. Aimee, do you want to read out this message that was written? It's quite a good message
You read
by our
it.
mutual friend.
You read it.
Okay. I'm just wondering how productive it is to celebrate his clear misspoken parroting of Chomsky. Like woohoo, outrage culture from the left or right is kind of cringe, and I agree, it is. And accomplished just a bunch of white noise. And accomplished just a bunch of white noise. I dislike the right behaving in kind with outrage culture, just like the far left. Like isn't okay that one. Okay, like isn't the right supposed to be critical about being triggered? You're right. Yes, they are. So because the far left grills you for a joke out of context, so you want to grill them, but it's unproductive. And yes, Dan, you are absolutely right. Sorry, I mentioned the
It's
name.
okay.
I'm greater than you. But anyway, you're right that yes, we should always say, oh, we should rise above this, just like Hillary Clinton. When they go low, go high. Yes, I agree with all of the things you're saying. As a rational, decent human being, you're absolutely right. But as a person who's been fucked over by YouTube for 3 years, fuck Hassan
I
Piker. Let
know.
him burn in hell.
It's a very difficult position
Yeah.
to like deal with the problem because I'm also in this spot where I'm like, you, how can you be the bigger person in this situation, right? Like, how can
I
you not
know. I
succumb to
know.
the petty stuff? Like, if you want most people to function like this, you can't expect that from other people unless you're doing that. So that's my conflict because I like the trolling, I like the bullshit, I like the nitpicking too, but then I realize I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
you
No, the
know?
thing is, you're absolutely right. You guys are both 100% rational about this. I'm not approaching this on a rational level. I'm approaching this as a bitter man
Yeah, yeah. But here's the
who
thing,
wants to
Banksy, is
fucking
like,
see one of these cunts burn.
yeah, I'm in a position. I'm in the same position because I have very unfavorable opinions. I say things that like would not jive with the lamestream or whatever the fucking status quo is, and so I have the
Yeah.
same concerns. I don't want to get bitter. I want to on a personal level deal with the things that are like, well, you just have to kind of accept that there's like a left-leaning bias and you just have to accept that this is the way. Dude, like 98% of people are so bitch. They're totally bitch made. So they're going to give
Yeah.
into this emotional appeal bullshit, you
It
know?
is. It is not. It is. It's 100%, and I guarantee you.
Friendly noises, like I said,
Yeah.
right? People are good at making friendly noises. They're good at saying the correct
Mm,
thing. They're good at saying the thing that will make you perceive them as principled. But when it comes time to actually show your character and whether you're principled or not, well, guess what? They're really not up to par.
well, this is what I mean. I mean, I know for a fact the next few days the right wing media, which suspects. I mean, Sargon has already come out with it. There's going to be a Black Pigeon Speak video. There's going to be a friggin' no bullshit, and on all the rest of the right, they're all going to fucking milk this till the teats are dry. They're gonna milk this
Yeah,
cow
of course.
so hard is unbelievable. And you wait and see the scores of videos that are gonna come back to back on Hassan Piker's
Yeah, yeah.
he's unquestionably is completely unacceptable. This is terrible.
Yeah.
This is deplorable behavior. So yes, all the fuckers are gonna come out in their fucking droves and are gonna milk this cow for all it's worth. Uh, and that's the way. And then they're gonna show themselves to be no better than the left wing
Then
Antifa
Hassan, it's
types.
kind of like the SJWs and the anti SJWs. You guys are the same person.
Yep.
You're the
Yes,
same
indeed.
person. Like the people who are actually interested in dealing with the meat of the issue are actually in the middle, in between. You know,
Yep.
in the gray area where it's actually really hard to fucking function in because you're actually trying to deal with the nuances and complexities of the context of a situation instead of just like the extreme stupid ends of the spectrum. Like, no, it's
I
more
know.
important where those things bleed together. That's the part where you have to figure it out because there is confusion, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other aspect of this is um this is the angle that I took, if you like, on this whole shit show with Hassan. Is as a man who's from the Middle East, who has, who would basically tick every box as far as a terrorist is concerned on any given airport chart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I see in this situation is that someone like Hassan, as much as he thinks he's all American, he isn't American. He's a Turkish American. Okay, so they still will see him. The reality is, and the reality world in which we live in, there's no matter how much I say I'm British. I'm British culturally. I'm British in so many ways. In fact, I'm more British than I'm Iranian.
Yeah.
I'm still an Iranian that lives in
Right, but
Britain.
when you're saying you're British, what you're really communicating is I adhere to British values. British values
Yes.
are more important to me than Iranian values. I am Iranian by way of my birthplace, but in terms of my
Yes.
values, I am British.
Yeah. But what
Yes.
Hassan has done is he's made lives for people like me and others like me a little bit harder today. That's what it translates to ultimately, because I now and others like me, my brothers, and my cousins and nephews and whoever really, that lives out in the parts of the world, Western civilization, Western Europe, North America, we are going to have to explain ourselves just a little bit more to someone who still thinks that we're all riding on camels back in Iran, like in fucking Arabian Nights, dun, 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 dun. Arabian Nights. They still think we're fucking like that. I mean, they don't realize. I've literally had to say this, that the only time I've ever seen a camel is in London Zoo. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only time in my life I've actually seen a camel. They think we're still wearing those fucking dish dash things and strolling into Agrabah. So unfortunately for those people, I have to yet spend yet another 10 minutes convincing them that no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
buying this backpack because I need to put stuff in it in order to ride my bike. I'm not planning to take a trip on any underground or any station time soon in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just made our lives just that little bit harder. And the fact that we have to explain ourselves just that little bit more, or just try to convince people, because every time we, as foreign people, or especially Middle Eastern people in the Western Europe, make some progress towards, look, we're not all fucking stupid nut jobs that want to blow your children up and want to run tax vans into your families. As soon as we make a little bit of progress that way, an asshole like Hassan Piker comes along, does some bullshit like that, and then we're fucked. We're fucked. We're back, 4 steps behind again. We make 2 steps progress, 4 steps
I
back.
know.
So that's the sort of repercussions of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the fact that Hassan will get off what's it called, Twitch, or whether he'll be banned from YouTube or get fired from TYT, is the fact that every person out in the world who's called Hassan, and believe me, there's a lot of and every person who's called Hussein and Ali and Muhammad
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Omar and all the other shit, is going to have to explain to the next Jack, Jill, and John why he is not going to blow their kids up this week,
Right.
and why he doesn't think America deserved 9/11. That's where it's actually going to come down to. That's where that's what those are the people's lives he's just made harder. The
Yeah.
very people that he professes to protect at all times, the very people that he thinks that he's going to, like, be a fucking hero for, and stand in front of Trump and protect them from all the neo-Nazis, the very people that he professes to want to care for and love, is the very people he's fucked up
But
tonight.
dude, the people that are in these extreme ends always say things to the most extreme degree. Like they're expressing, and the way that they're expressing just doesn't align with the way that they behave, because they obviously have an agenda that is antithetical to the values that they claim to espouse. And I
Yes.
think the thing that is always the most frustrating about any human interaction, anything that you see on YouTube, is like, when you recognize, if you think your hierarchy of values is like well thought out, and you have like a good set of core principles, and then someone is behaving outside of that but also saying they're on your side, there really is a dissonance there that is hard to contend with. And that is, dude, you're telling me that we share values, but you're not acting in a way that makes me think you actually value those things.
Exactly.
And that's a
Exactly.
problem.
And
And if you're
that's the
even being
problem. Yeah.
honest and straight about it, and if you really are saying, like, fuck you, I don't value America, well, fuck you, because I value the idea of America. Right? Like,
Exactly.
people have a really fucked up idea of America. I don't understand what they're thinking. It's like, America has very clear values. Manifest destiny, look at the Constitution, look at the First Amendment, and that's all you need to know about America. That is such an important value. Like, free speech. Free speech is the
Yeah.
mechanism via which we can correct every fucking problem in our lives. And if you cannot handle your problems, being able to say anything and everything necessary to reveal the truth of your problem, dude, the only other option is war. Imagine living in a
Yeah.
place where you would literally be fucking killed for not being able to be honest about what you thought about a bad idea.
Well, this is what I mean. This is what they don't appreciate these things.
It's
Sorry, I just want
crazy
to.
to
You want to.
me.
You want to give Red guy. Red guy dropped you.
The red guy
Dropped you
dropped me
some.
some dollar bills, y'all. So the best idea is to thank you so much, red guy. Love it. The thing is to not donate through super chats, because YouTube takes 30%. So using the Streamlabs link is probably the best bet. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Big
Yes,
hugs.
use the Streamlabs, big boy.
Use the Streamlabs, big boy. Give me your dollar bills.
Exactly.
Keep me
Do
off
the
the
right
streets,
thing.
y'all. Keep me off the streets. Do the right thing. Be a man. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. Do the right thing,
Do
big
the
boy.
right thing. All I'm saying,
Okay.
Banksy, is that I'm sick and tired of fake bitches, and let's just roll this right into Stranger Things, because my favorite thing about this show is the friendships and the relationships, and like,
Yes.
is there anything better than how close to friends these guys are? So me and my friend Brian, the first time we watched the whole show together, we were high on acid. Not a good experience, I gotta tell you. I just watched it again this weekend on mushrooms. Way better experience. I think acid is just a little bit too hardcore for me.
Yeah, so Stranger Things on mushrooms, not acid. That's number
Yes.
one.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. And every time I tell you, I cry like a fucking baby.
Oh wow.
Ugh.
Wow.
Spoiler alert
Nice.
for anybody who hasn't seen Stranger Things, we are going to talk about everything. So leave now if you want
Yeah,
to
and
leave.
spoilers,
All the spoilers.
shitload of spoilers. I already kind of said it in my thing. Down, be careful. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna get spoiled. Having said all of those caveats to make sure the audience is fully prepared for this, where do you want to start? Season 1.
Yeah, tell me. Tell me what you thought. Let's start
Let's
from the fucking beginning. I'm so down.
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, number one, you said the friendship. Absolutely, the friendship is the very backbone, I guess, of this show. It's actually more. I think the monsters are kind of okay. Okay, this is my thought. You mentioned something about trauma. When you were talking about it in one of your thoughtcasts earlier on this week, and what I started to think about was, I think these people are all in this because of not only shared trauma, but every one of them has a degree of trauma that they're already dealing with. and
Yes.
and the weird thing is, it almost seems like their superpowers are almost related to the amount of trauma that they've suffered in their
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
It's I don't know whether I misread that or not, but it seems like 11 has had the most traumatic childhood out of all of them. She's had to suffer the most, if you
Yeah.
like. And she is without the doubt the most powerful person in that show.
Of course.
She kicks ass. And the others, even the guy, I forgot his name, the brother in season 3,
Oh,
uh,
Billy.
Billy.
The
Now
hottie
Billy has had
toddy.
quite traumatic trauma as well, and he
Brutal.
becomes exceedingly powerful towards the end of
But
the
you know
show.
why that is, right? Is it's because the monster is able to draw on the person who has the most darkness in them. When you're abused,
Ah.
like this show, man, it's so many layers of amazing psychological, just a compendium
Mm,
of psychology in front of you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's so many layers to the onion of that show. And it's so
it
hard
is.
not to appreciate it as somebody who's been through not even crazy trauma. I wouldn't call anything I went through crazy traumatic. Traumatic, yes, but like not
Compared to
11
people who
level.
were abused as children or beaten
I mean, that is me.
raped
That
or
is my trauma. No rape, but definitely physical
yeah.
abuse, right?
Oh wow.
It is it is so crazy to see somebody else's trauma laid out in such a way that you can relate to it so much and you understand exactly what's happening, because like the easiest people to prey on as something like a
Mm.
mind flayer is the weak person
Ah,
who is compromised by their abuse, who has become an abusive and angry person, who is just a walking defense mechanism, right? Always
yes.
protecting themselves from being hurt by the world. That's why Billy was so abrasive. Like, not until season
Mm,
3 can you appreciate the character of Billy,
that's
because
true.
you're not, his trauma is not revealed to you. They gave you a little bit of a glimpse into him in season 2 when his dad like called him a faggot practically and gave him shit for like not taking care of Max. You remember that,
Yeah,
right? And he was just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
treating him like he was in the
that
army.
was that was really the first introduction to the dad as well. That
Yeah.
was like the first time we started to see the dad. Up until then, the parents were away, and these guys
Mhm.
were kind of fending for themselves.
Mhm.
And then, but there was this hint that the father is a bit of a douche. He's kind of a dick, and he's treating Billy badly. But we didn't really know the extent of what he was doing
Right.
until that introduction. But really, we got the real trauma because Billy is kind of old. He's kind of a grown man, although he's still scared of his dad. But physically, he could match his father.
So he's also
But
immature in ways that you would be like, "Oh my god, you're still such a boy." You know what I
yeah, he's
mean?
stunt in a way. The trauma has stunted his mental
His
growth.
emotional growth.
Yeah, he's emotional. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, but really, in the season 3 is where we delve right into all the childhood traumas
Mhm.
that have seriously scarred this guy. But I don't want to get too far into Billy's story because I think we should address like 11
I
and
love
the other
her.
guys and the guys from season 1's effectively story, and also the pace and the feel of season 1 versus season 2 and 3, because I feel almost like, I mean, for me, it was like a comparison between Alien, the first film, and then Aliens and Alien 3 or the rest of the movie franchise, where the first one was very much you hardly saw the monster. The monster's reveal was very gradual, and it was kind of, it was almost more scary by not exactly seeing the
Yes.
monster in
Yeah,
its
yeah.
full thing.
Mhm.
And this is exactly what aliens used, those sort of tactics, where, because I mean, for them it was because of budget, but for this was clearly they used those same themes to try to reveal the monster in a gradual way in order for it to be even more frightening.
Mhm.
But the season 2 and 3 kind of veered quite badly away from that. They just went all out with the giant imagery and the giant, and by the way, the monster in 2 and 3, I don't know if you saw it, but the resemblance to the aliens monster was actually quite evident. they
Yeah,
took
yeah.
they took
With the
that
mouth?
wholesale. Well, no, not the mouth. I'm talking about the mind. what do they call it?
The
The
mind
season
flayer.
2, the mind flare. If you actually look at its head, it has
It does have the shape, doesn't it?
Yes, it has that very pencily sort of that sort of weird coney shaped of the aliens. The first one, no, the first one was actually kind of a unique alien. I would say the first one was, although
you're talking about the Demogorgon in the first one.
The Demogorgon in the first one was kind of a unique alien to some extent, although it still had. I don't know if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth uses very similar imagery to the Demogorgon for their monsters, but generally, yeah, pretty decent, pretty new. This concept of coming in and out of different dimensions was very good, very well done. I'm just surprised they didn't follow the same. It's like you see the Demogorgon in the first one and it gets killed, and then that's it. Like there is no reference even to the Demogorgon.
Well,
again.
there is in the third season because they release a Demogorgon at the end with that prisoner, right? So
spoiler,
the Demogorgon and any monster type thing is all related to this one place, which is the Upside Down. And I think that the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer, they're just different iterations of the Upside Down, right? My theory has always been that that monster is an aspect of 11. Do you know what I mean? So I always have felt like, because she's the only one who can control it. And do you remember in this last season, the last time she's spying on Billy, where she falls back into his memories and then she reaches the darkness of his whatever?
Yeah, the tornado and all that.
She takes the blindfold off and she's in the house and she's actually with Billy and he's like, everything we've been building for you. So this creature has like a hive mind. I think 11 is actually the queen of that hive, like in an ant colony. The queen, or in a colony of bees, the queen would be who everybody serves, right? So it was just very, like that's what I kind of considered it as in that way.
Well, I mean, I will say that, and this kind of ties in now. I will say that my biggest criticism of this entire show has been season 2's episode with the sisters, or discovered 8. Not only the fact that that episode was just wildly out of sync with everything else in the show, it was a completely like it was a what's it called it a loose string at the end, because they never actually tied that into anything else. She just went over, met this other number 8, had a little adventure, came home and carried on as normal. Like that whole thing was pointless. It didn't bring 8 into the other parts of the story to help 11 to close the gate or do anything.
So really. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. It's possible to bring her back in season 4, but season 4 is also the last of everything in the show. So maybe it was just something to add into the show while, she was kind of away looking for her mom and things were developing in Hawkins while she was away. Because that is what happened. I mean, she ran away and then things were developing in Hawkins.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, there is a theory that I looked up when I was kind of doing a little mini research on this for this show, was that somebody who's got this sort of theory that the not the Demogorgon, but the oh man, I keep lights flare. No, what was the big overall
flare?
Mind flare. The mind flare is in fact number 1, and that it was the mind flare that has in fact created not another dimension, but in fact mind flare has actually invented the Upside Down. The Upside Down is a manifestation of an alternate reality that the number 1 created, and in a way that this company, this place where they did all the experiments on them, they trapped number 1 in that zone. And since then, all these other creatures that number 1 has created are just manifestations of number 1's various personality defects or just anger or whatever it is. These monsters have come about through number 1. So number 1, this is where the numbers will come into play. Number 1 is the most powerful, and they were not able to control number one, so they trapped him over there.
Yeah.
Whilst then they continued with experiments of 2 to 11, where 11 emerged as a successful sort of, if you like, individual who could actually challenge number one potentially, and all the other numbers will potentially come into play in I guess season 4, where they will go full circle, where 8 will come back into it, and all the other numbers will be
Maybe, but imagine if they never bring her back again. Would that disappoint you?
Well, this is the other thing as well, because that will then because when I was looking into this, a lot of people hated that episode with number 8. Number 8's episode was one of the worst rated episodes apparently, and it's been slated. That's why they kind of totally if you like, if you notice in rest of number season 2 and season 3, they don't even mention it in season 3. It's like it's that never happened. Forget the move along. This didn't happen. Ignore all of that episode because it didn't rate well, and it didn't. But I think the reason it didn't rate well is because they never really tied it with anything else. It was just this sort of throwaway episode.
So all that happened that I can think that was significant was she told 11 that she needs to learn to channel her powers better, which is what I think contributed to her being able to use her powers the way that she did in the 3rd season. Because remember, in the 1st and 2nd season, obviously she had the powers, but she neglected to use them because her dad would always tell her to, and she wouldn't listen because she didn't want to fucking destroy a cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So until that season...
You wouldn't want to kill.
Exactly. Until that season, she didn't really utilize her powers or know that she could control them by channeling them through her anger or trauma or whatever, until her sister came along and was like, this is how I deal with it. This is how you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that because if you look at the hero's arc in most films, especially kung fu films, it's very clear where the hero has an ability, kung fu in this case, and he can fight a little bit, but then this other sort of evil person comes along, beats the crap out of the hero scurries away, then finds a master, and the master trains him in the art of this new kung fu style, and then he gains tremendous abilities, and then he comes back and defeats the bad guy. And I suppose season 2 with the 8 episode had you could say that was 11's hero arc where she was defeated, she didn't know what to do, or she was unable to use her abilities the way she wanted to. Then she went away, had this master train her in her abilities, and then came back sort of stronger and managed to close the gate. It could be, but it didn't really give that impression. I don't know. Nobody ever thought 8 will come back. 8 will be involved in this episode of trying to defeat I don't know, the demo dogs, or just generally help everyone out to close the gate. And she did none of that. She did nothing.
But you're saying that, and I'm telling you, my first impression of season 3 was I didn't like the whole Russian thing. I thought that was just so overblown.
Oh, I've got so much on that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it.
You go.
And I still think season 2 is actually my favorite in terms of storyline, in terms of there's that one episode that kind of sucks, but I also have to just put this on pause. I have to use the ladies' room again. I'm sorry. I'm drinking. So may I please have a moment? I will be right back.
Oh, sure. No worries.
Okay.
No worries. We'll pause on the... Oh, sorry. Are you pausing? Are you running off for
I'm
toilet?
just going to pee. Yes. It's all you, boy. It's all you, baby boy.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll save the Stranger Things talk until Aimee comes back. But in the meanwhile, drink amongst yourselves. Have a chat.
Hey,
sorry,
Banksy,
Dan?
Banksy, it's me, Dan. Don't fuck this up, man. You got to carry the whole thing. All right. So it's a lot of pressure. All right, bud.
Talk to me, Dan. What are you going away for? Don't run.
Sorry, got to go, but it's just all you. Just try not to be poisoned.
Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. Wow. We have quite a lot of guys from my neck of the woods up in here. Sean Bassey, Wanksy's still with us. Good man, Wanksy. Sounds like an interesting show. Oh damn, Wanksy, you haven't seen the show. You dude, check this show out. Anyone who hasn't seen Stranger Things, definitely check it out. It's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome.
It's a good show.
So
So
Dan,
you brought a real motley crew of people over here with you, because I was watching your stream earlier, and your fans are just poison. They're just cancer all up and down the chat, just all day long, just blah 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 blah.
it is they're a rowdy bunch.
I'm just joking, and a few of them I assume are probably good people.
The few of them are good. Yeah, some of them are good people, I assume.
It's just statistically impossible that they're all as bad as they seem to be, but
no.
no.
there were some good people on both sides.
yeah. I'm not saying all of them are criminals and rapists.
They're not all criminals, but
not all.
But quite a lot. They bring in their rapists. They bring in their criminals.
Oh my god, he shows up when I disappear. How rude.
I had to save the show. Banksy was about to spiral into
I was going downhill. I had no idea what to say.
Uh-oh. Did he just freeze on me? Have I frozen? I think I have. What's happened here? Banksy? Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Let me just leave this like this. Because I've obviously had some sort of malfunction occur. My apologies, my friends. I do apologize. I have no idea what just happened to Banksy. But it appears at the moment as if it has just completely disconnected us. So, stand by. Stand by.
Hello. Okay.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Are you here?
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My connection, I think something might have happened. It all just froze on me.
I don't know if it was you. It might have actually been Discord.
Yeah, Discord is a little bit touchy sometimes. It does happen.
Over the last week, I definitely can confirm that I've had 2 or 3 different updates, which are probably what the reason for the hiccup is for. So.
On Discord.
Yes.
Yeah, could be because as I say, yeah, Discord does have its moments. It doesn't play well all the time.
Yeah. So what we were talking about before I left is we were talking about episode number 8. Was it 8 or 7? Second season, I said was my favorite. I had mentioned that. So I thought the whole like, oh my god, this never-ending elevator. Let's drop into a Russian fucking spy base.
Yes, the whole season 3. Oh my god. Now I will just give a brief thing of the seasons 1 to 2. Season 1, fantastic, great imagery, great sort of establishing all the characters, and the evil figure or the monster was really well done as far as I'm concerned. It was done in the same sort of guise as Alien. Season 2, I think, yes, they dropped the ball a little bit. The Demogorgon thing, it was almost like, to me, again, season 2 was Aliens, where you have the queen alien, this giant alien character, which is the same as the Mind Flare. They dropped the ball. I mean, I think they could have saved that episode with 8 if they tied 8 in with other things that are going to happen, or if she actually meant something for the rest of the show. But apart from that, yeah, season 3, the Russian thing, as far as just think about the logistics of having all those Russians come into the United States at the height of the Cold War. People who can't even speak English, and these army of people managed to sneak into the United States and built this cavernous giant underground base where they started experimenting. I mean, look, guys, I want to work with me here. I want to believe your shit. I believe your Demogorgon and I believe your mind flares and all this extravagant shit. But that shit was just a slight
But
step too fucking
here's how
far.
I chalked it up, because the first time I watched it, I had the exact same thought. And then the second time I sat with my friend Brian and I was like, "You know what, Brian? This is Stranger Things. You want strange? Here's all the fucking strange. Let's add conspiracy. Let's add monsters. And fuck it. Let's just throw some Russians on top of this, because who is the US's greater enemy? Right?
You
Like,
know, Russians fine if Russians, and then they showed some kind of nefarious American company working with the Russians, although they kind of did have the mayor
yeah.
kind of give them the pass for the mall, and they used the mall as a guise. But an army of non-English speaking Russians,
I know.
literally, I mean, there were hundreds of people. It would have taken thousands of people to build that shit that they
Dude,
built.
and like when they held the kids hostage too, and they're like, "Who do you work for?" And he's in like he's in a Scoops Ahoy outfit, and they're still like
Yeah.
saying shit.
But I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's like that tunnel which required a little buggy, a golf cart thing to go all the way down it. I'm like, come on, man.
Can we please though take a moment to appreciate the character of Erica? Because you can't spell America without Erica.
Eric.
She was so fantastic. So the thing that I noticed so greatly in this season was just the intense contrast, right? So the monster is darker. The scary scenes were so dark and scary in a hospital, dingy, dark,
Yes.
lights flashing, you know? And then on the other hand, you have bright neon lights and at the fair, and it's the 4th of
Yes.
July, and you have fireworks, and like the core of the show is so fucking dark, right? You have Billy, who's been just taken over by this monster. The monster is using Billy as a conduit to travel in this dimension that it cannot survive in, right? And then
That's
it's
right.
fucking up the poor kids because the girl Max is his sister, and then all the friends that he's killing are Max's friends. There's so much darkness, and it's so dark, but then there's bright lights, neon lights, like
I
a
know.
lot of attempt at comedy, you know, like you remember that moment with Joyce Byers where they were beating up the mayor in the office, and she's like, she pulls the line, she's like, "Who you gonna call, the police?"
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like they put a
yes.
little bit of extra effort into the comedy. So like with Smirnoff or whatever, that little tiff that him and Hopper had, you know what I mean? Like with the
I think
guy
it's Alexei.
Alexi, yeah. And who's that I forgot the name of the guy who they used as the translator.
Oh, that was the bold guy that they used in season 2 as
Yeah,
well.
he's
I
great.
forgot his.
He was so good in this season, and like even the comedy with him, he's like, "All right, guys, I'm sick and tired of your shit. Like, just shut the fuck up and fuck already, or stop your bickering. Like, we have legit
Yes.
problems to deal with." There was so much comedy that I felt like they tried extra hard to write in, because the premise of this season was actually quite dark, right? Like Billy is like infecting all these other people effectively with some kind of mind flare virus that's like making people come to this monster and sacrifice themselves to provide
Yeah.
body or essence for this monster.
The theme they took, as far as I could see, the theme they took from for season 3, they took. I mean, from again, I keep referring these to other monster movies because I think I'm sure they've used them as inspiration, because the first one for me was Alien, second one Alien, second one was Aliens, the third one was actually The Thing. If you've ever seen the film The Thing, you will see the parallels of Stranger Things season 3 immediately, because the Thing is actually a alien entity that can infect human beings and then turn them into monsters. And the bit with all the rats melting and then joining the bigger monster, and then the humans melting into these giant pools of flesh effectively, and then joining up, and then the two guys in the hospital melting and joining into one monster. This was all,
Oh.
yeah, these were all in the thing. I mean, if you watch, I would say the original, the first one, which was I think made in the 40s or something, is black and white. I think that's horrific. I don't think we will to watch that one. But there's another one with I think it's in the 80s or 90s. I think it was 80s.
Hmm.
With Kurt Russell. That one is really good because they use animatronics and sort of real visual effects instead of computer effects. But then there's another one that's been made fairly recently, I think 3 years ago, which I haven't seen yet. But I would imagine that one would have much more sort of computer
This
graphics involved.
monster, the special effects in this season were
Mm,
phenomenal. Like, as
yes.
gross and stupid as you could have think the monster was, the fact that like everybody would like melt down and just turn into the monster and add to the body, and the way that it moved, how many moving parts it had. It was pretty fucking impressive. I was very impressed with that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the grosser I think it is, the more I am impressed with the special effects,
Yeah,
you know?
the flesh monsters, sort of the flesh melting and joining into each other, and yeah, they did spend some good time. But the
Mhm.
thing is, again, for me it's again the loose ends. Like, why were these monsters eating fertilizer? Or why were the rats and the people were eating fertilizer? Did you ever figure
Yeah,
that
but
out? Did it
maybe
ever
we'll
reveal
figure
it?
it out in the fourth season. You know
Yeah,
what
so
I
I hope
mean?
to
Like,
God,
it
I hope they
has to
tie these
be.
stuff in.
The monsters, regardless of how different they really are, still come from the same place. So there's some kind of relationship that we obviously haven't picked up on yet. This like
Ye-
chemicals and rat thing and like calling all the subjects to it was a new
Yeah.
aspect of this monster, right?
Well, I
So
mean, the upside down is all. I mean, it could be the chemicals are in order to make sure that the chemical balance of the rats and the people are are in such a way that this monster can survive, because the upside down has got an environment which isn't hostile. It's kind of semi-hostile to human beings.
yeah,
Although that little kid, what's his name, Max, was it?
Will,
Uh, I think it was,
the
no,
one who
sorry,
got kidnapped.
yeah, the one who
Yeah,
got
that was
sucked in
Will
on the
Byers. That was Will Byers.
Will. Yeah, Will managed to survive for about a week in that environment. Although the other scientists were saying you have to wear this hazmat type suit because the environment is poisonous to human
Hmm.
beings. So you start to think, okay, how the hell did Will survive for a week whilst these guys couldn't survive for a couple of hours going in there to try and get Will out? So there was a little bit of inconsistency there, which never got fully like explained how Will managed to survive and the others.
Wait. May I interject?
Yes.
Didn't
Damn.
Will have some sort of infection in him in season 2? Like something, he puked something up or something?
Yeah,
Like it was in
so
him.
No,
that
that was
monster
at the
has.
end.
Yeah, that was at the end, but that monster, like the remnants of it, have never left him, which is, I think, what happened with Elle. So there was some remnant of the upside down that was left in her. But remember, when she used her powers to suck that fucking thing out of her leg, it probably took everything else with it that actually gives her the power to begin with.
That's right. She kind of lost her powers after that.
Right.
For a bit.
So you
So
have to have something that's left behind by the mind flayer. So every time that mind flayer was near, the part of its power that was left in Will was the ability to recognize it was close.
the tingling in the back of the neck and
Exactly.
things like that.
Exactly.
So Will being able to so you're basically assuming that the mind flare put something or infected Will with something so that he could survive as long as he did in the upside down.
Yeah, because I think like same with Billy. Remember, he was infected by the mind flayer too, but the mind flayer used him as like a
Actively,
portal,
yeah.
as an interdimensional portal, basically, to be able to exist and move freely in that world. But it itself, the monster itself, cannot live in that world, especially in summer, because the heat makes it go away.
Of course, yeah. It has a huge problem with heat.
Right.
That's interesting. The analysis is that the reason Will was left to survive, and in fact, the idea that the Demogorgon wasn't able to find Will isn't actually the case. It was the fact that the Mind Flayer didn't want Will to be killed by the Demogorgon, and the Mind Flayer wanted
Yeah,
Will
so
to
it was
come back.
drawing something out of Will that it was using for itself, right? So it's like a
Mm,
parasite host situation. The reason Billy
uh-huh.
didn't die is because the Mind Flayer was using Billy to do its bidding.
And the
And
same with Will.
yeah, so the thing that I don't get about the Will situation is this, though, is that, like, with Billy, it's really obvious that the reason that the Mind Flayer was able to draw from him is because he had, like, such a traumatic past that he was able to draw
Mm.
from the darkness within him already. Will doesn't seem like he has that kind of darkness, but his relationship with his dad and mom is pretty fucked up too, so maybe there is some darkness it was drawing from. Or it was simply using Will as some kind of conduit between, again, traveling
Yeah,
between those
this world
realms.
and the upside down. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, it could be that it's different. You know, the Mind Flayer is using different people for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, Billy was much more of a soldier that the Mind Flayer needed in order to rally to bring these people so that they can create the flesh monster. Whilst so he needed strength and also recognized that Billy's maybe deeper trauma was able to utilize that more and
Mm-hmm.
gain more strength, whilst Will was simply used as a conduit between this reality or this dimension
Just to
and the
scope
upside
it
down
out, right?
dimension.
Like with Billy,
Yeah.
he actually got into the world. With Will, he was more like using Will as a way to just kind of like sneak around and see what's up. And Barb too,
Yeah.
right? Because Barb went
Yeah.
missing
Move.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they were just used for different reasons, so they didn't need to necessarily, I guess, the different level of infection, if you want to put it that
Mm-hmm.
way,
Mm-hmm.
or the level of at the level in which the Mind Flayer used these two individuals was in different capacities,
Mm-hmm.
and so Will didn't have to have as much trauma as Billy in order for the Mind Flayer to use him
Yes, right.
in whatever capacity he needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's just that the monsters were very different monsters from one to two. The thing was for me from season one to two is season one gave no indicator of this, the Mind Flare and all the other things these manipulations that were going on. It was all about the Demogorgon. And then suddenly they expanded into the Mind
But
Flare
the
thing for
Demogorgon
season
is just an
two.
iteration of the Mind Flayer, you see?
So
Like they
the
all come
Demogorgon
from the same
is,
place. I think that the Demogorgon is just another iteration of the Mind Flayer. So the Mind Flayer was
mm,
able to create these monsters or these demons, or maybe the Demogorgon is just a part of the world the Mind Flayer created, which is the Upside Down, right?
yeah.
Because they're obviously not totally dead. They showed the return of the Demogorgon in the third season at the end.
Yeah, or there is others more than just a single one. But the thing is, I don't know. It just seems like you would have seen at least in season two, you would have at least in the Upside Down, you would have seen one imagery because they totally like cut out the Demogorgon in season two. It all went to
Mm-hmm.
demo dogs. There was no I mean, this is like the monster, the Mind Flare. You would think it's just for me, these are the inconsistencies. You would think in season two, when the Mind Flare is about to have the whole of the, well, it's trying to take over our reality, and it's expanding, and it's putting all its roots, and it's growing everywhere, and it brings its soldiers, which is the demagogues, to protect it from being, from the portal being closed or from it being destroyed in any way. And yet it chooses the demo dogs instead of bringing in more demo gorgons, which are clearly bigger and more powerful. So why didn't it bring the whole cavalry down? Because
Hmm.
eventually 11 closed the gate, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, the what's it called? The Mind Flayer couldn't have possibly known that the Russians are going to build machines underneath a frigging shopping center to
Yeah.
open the gate again. So for as far as the Mind Flayer was concerned, if 11 is closing the gate, this is it. It's losing its connection for all intents and purposes to this reality, to this dimension. So wouldn't it throw the whole cavalry and the kitchen sink at trying to keep these guys from closing
Maybe the
the
amount of
gate?
demogorgons or demodogs depends on the strength of the mind flayer as well, because after
Hmm.
the gate was closed, it obviously must have been in a weak position. Because remember when it comes back in season 3 and it's looking at 11 through Billy's eyes, it has like an angry reaction,
Yes.
right? So there obviously was some kind of weakening that occurred when that gate was closed. I think it
Okay.
needs to draw its power and energy from something that is above surface, which is why it keeps coming back in
Yeah,
there. And as soon as you close the gate, it has no ability to
it
assert
does.
any power in the real world because it has nothing to draw from.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely clear that the mind flare, without the gate being open at to some extent,
Hmm.
it can't interact with this reality.
Yeah.
The the other part of this, I don't know if you want to shift, but I want to you want to talk about Joyce and Jim
Please,
and
yes.
their particular relationship, because I mean, this conversation could go on for days
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
there
No,
is
let's get
so
into
many
it. As long
characters.
as you're willing to stay awake, I'm here. So,
Okay, let's start with those guys, and then we'll work our way down the list of all the friends and then and the relationships amongst them. But the Joyce and Jim Harper situation again. I want to go back to potentially. I don't know if you agree with this shared trauma. That
hmm,
the trauma is the rope or the string that connects
I
these
think
guys.
it is.
Like Jim has a massive traumatic event in his life of his daughter dying,
Yeah.
so he's already suffering from that trauma. Now, I couldn't pinpoint exact trauma of Joyce until Will got kidnapped. Her trauma began in season 1, effectively, of Will being kidnapped, although she looked like she was a very distressed person trying to keep a family together. She was trying to, put food on the table. Husband was a dick.
I think that was her
So
problem, is that there were always men in her life that were unstable and not committed. And I wouldn't call that a trauma. I don't think a trauma actually settled in until Bob died in the second season.
yes, yes,
Right?
that
And
as
like
well.
I think it's
Yeah,
just kind of difficult to be a single mom. You know what I mean? I think she was
yeah,
always stressed and always like that, because if you're a single parent and you are trying to be involved, I mean, being a parent when you have both parents present full time is a difficult task in and of itself anyways. Right? So
yeah,
imagine how difficult it is as a single mother with two boys to deal with, right? It's really hard to
yeah,
relate.
exactly.
So she's trying constantly to relate. And, she's always trying to be super mom and always trying to make sure that Will's okay, Jonathan's okay. And she is kind of overbearing, but it's kind of hard not to be when you're in the position of single parenthood.
Well, this is, I mean, yeah, absolutely, all of those things correct. She is
Hmm.
suffering and she's struggling all day, every day, trying to, get enough money together, and she had to take all those sort of what do you call it, extensions, or sort of, because she wanted to buy the radio and the TV, the telephone and stuff like that, and she had to
Hmm.
get credit effectively for her on her job. Now, but I'm just thinking, does that really constitute any kind of, if these people are all connected through some level of trauma, past trauma, is that really constitute trauma? Because the other part that this sort of brings me to is also Mike Wheeler and Karen Wheeler, the brother and sister. They seem to have a perfectly nice, pleasant life. Their parents, for that matter, are actually almost purely oblivious to this situation that is going on in their town. And this is the amazing part: is that
Mike
Mike
and
Wheeler and
Nancy,
his,
like those two, right? Like brother and sister, and then their parents, the Wheelers.
oh, sorry, yes, Nancy. Karen
Yeah.
is the
Karen is the
mom.
mom,
I
yeah.
apologize, I got the wrong name.
All
But yeah,
good.
Mike and Nancy are like fully deep involved in this world
Yeah.
of craziness, and yet their parents are totally oblivious to it.
I know, it's
Uh,
crazy.
and they don't seem to have a terribly bad or unusual life. They don't seem to have anything that would be considered childhood traumas. So
No.
I don't know if trauma is the thing that links these guys together, that brings them all together in a subliminal level. where do these
But
two
they're
fit?
only talking about this particular trauma because do you remember in the third season with Jonathan and Nancy, they were having a bit of a tiff in the car, and he's like, because he was pissed off that they lost their jobs, right? Because
Yes,
Nancy
yes,
had decided to go over to Driscoll's and check out what was happening, and she
that's
was not
right. Yeah,
supposed to do that. And Jonathan was like, "Yo, not everybody lives in a 2-floor house in this fucking place in this place, okay? Like some of
exactly.
us actually like our jobs matter to us." So you're actually seeing there the difference in like, okay, no, her childhood wasn't traumatic. People like she never really suffered anything crazy. But the trauma that these two do share is all the shit that's happened in the last 2 seasons, right? Like almost
I'm with
losing,
you.
like losing your friend, losing your friend's brother, everybody's family is like being so fucked up, recognizing there's this crazy underground network of evil just underneath your feet and all this crazy shit. So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah. Well,
only
this is
shared trauma they have. Other than that,
so.
though, she's like super princess, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'd expect her to be, homecoming queen and shit.
Exactly.
With her super, beautiful haired boyfriend, driving an '80s BMW.
Yeah.
So they seem to be extremely like in good stead. She didn't look like she is the type who is somehow broken effectively,
Mm-hmm.
because all the
Mm-hmm.
other people are somehow broken.
Yeah.
Uh, even from what's the name, Winona Ryder's character, Joyce,
Joyce.
Jim, 11, Billy, who else? Nearly all of them. I mean, admittedly, the four boys, Lucas, Will, Mike,
And
and
Dustin.
and Dustin. Yeah, they don't seem to have a terrible life. I mean,
No.
we don't really get to see too much of. I think Dustin's got a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
He's being raised by a single mom. Lucas seems to be a perfectly nice, well-adjusted family. Mother and father seem pretty average, normal '80s sort of family, and the sister is actually quite a good character. I really liked her
Yeah, she was
in season
awesome.
three.
She was so
She
badass.
was,
Pulling out guns and
yeah.
shit, shooting at Billy. She's badass, Nancy.
I think, yeah. Is it Nancy her name?
Yes.
Yeah, she actually, I think, outshined
Oh
Lucas.
my god, and
I
the
I think
terrifying
she took.
things that she went through, like so there were articles that came out about like, oh, Hopper's misogyny is unacceptable. Oh, the misogyny that Nancy experienced in the newsroom was unacceptable. Okay, fine, whatever. But
Oh,
understand that these things depict real life aspects of living in that time. You know what I mean?
well,
Like
that's,
that
yeah.
treatment in the office of women is how it was in the 80s.
It was
Let's
accepted.
not
It was
make this what it
acceptable
is.
in the '80s.
Yeah, so
It was
despite all
acceptable at
that,
the
just
time.
there were a couple of moments in there where you really could just take it and make it an SJW thing, but I thought were actually very sweet. And it was like one of the scenes was
Mm,
Nancy talking to her mom after she got like pretty much insulted around all the men in the office who were like making fun of
mm.
her for wanting to go and investigate the Driscoll situation with the rats.
Yes, yes.
Right? And like her mom was like, just go chase the story. Just go do what you want to
There you
do. It's
go.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that was actually quite sweet. I never took that as an SJW moment. The only reason I thought of it that way is because of the news, right? You see, there
Yeah.
will be someone who has that bad take, and it's like, yo, that's a good thing. Like, if your mom is encouraging you to do shit regardless, when you are actually facing oppression for being a girl, that's a good scene. It was
Exactly.
so
But the thing is,
heartwarming and wholesome, you know?
this is the problem. The social justice types, even though I think Stranger Things made ample effort to make sure this is held in the '80s, so that if they do have scenes like that, and I think they planned it with scenes like these,
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to say, well, it was the '80s, because if they held it in anything past the year 1999, they would
Mm-hmm.
have got friggin' ripped apart for it.
So stupid,
So
though.
yeah, but what I mean is, that's that weird thing is, I still think to this very day things like that do happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that a TV show will never be able to get away with portraying it, and they'll get torn apart, and they have to pretend that certain things don't happen.
Isn't
This
that
is the
stupid? Like,
yeah
art imitates life, and art isn't even allowed to imitate life because it
no
also has to be politically correct.
yeah
Everything is
because real
being
life isn't
ruined.
politically correct,
Yeah, no,
and
it's
this is the
not.
thing. This is the problem. Like in Britain, I know we're I don't want to digress too far away, but in Britain there was a recent, I think it's a Volkswagen or anyway, so some sort of hybrid car, where the advert was a man running, an athlete, a male athlete, a male, I don't know, some kind of CEO, or anyway, there was a variety of images of successful or men doing dynamic things,
Hmm.
and they were all making noise, and then all of a sudden it cuts to a woman sitting with a baby in a pram at a park, and the car starts and drives away, and there's no sound from the baby or anything, and it was to express that this car is so quiet that you can start it up with the sleeping baby next to you,
Hmm.
and the baby won't even wake up.
Yeah.
That advert got banned in Britain because it showed negative stereotypes of women looking after babies, and women being mothers. So anything that shows any kind of stereotypical behavior
You
of
mean natural
women and
behavior?
men, pretty much, yeah,
We're
like
just not okay with
basically a
reality
woman
anymore.
looking after, yeah, a woman looking after her baby is now not suitable for television in
Hey,
Britain.
asshole, if a woman isn't going to take care of her baby, who the fuck else is? Because guess what?
Well,
We need our husbands to go to work.
yeah, but the thing is, if it was a trans woman, that would be different. They might have passed with that one, but because it was a regular woman looking after a baby, well, yeah, this is the thing. This is the themes of today, is that we have to ignore reality in order to appeal to some fucked up,
To
politically
ideals.
correct.
Like,
Yeah.
ideals are good to have, but if you think that things should operate ideally all the time, you are not well acquainted with reality.
No,
Because,
well,
dude,
again,
ideals are good to have. This is the problem with hating America. Like, America has ideals, and it's good to have those. That's what your values are, your ideals and what you're striving towards. But human beings are not idealistic. We're a
exactly,
fucking mess,
exactly.
dude. And
and
it's like,
and this is what I mean about the whole thing, that I think these guys at Netflix chose to hold this in the 80s, is
yeah.
because they recognize that if the themes that they're going to display on in this show, they can't get away with that in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
This show doesn't need to be held in the 80s in any shape or form. There wasn't any aspects apart from a few pop culture sort of references here and there, with like Terminator and Jaws and Back to the Future. They've got like pop culture references, but none of that's really essential to the story. None
No.
of those were essential parts
But it's a good
of
place
this
to set
show.
it to not have to deal with the backlash. And guess what? They got
Yeah.
backlash anyway.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It's
they get that
so
shit anyway.
unfortunate.
But at least they can brush it off to, look, this was the 80s, we're just trying to portray the 80s in an accurate way, so it's historical. You can't see it, you don't think of it as something today. Of course today we're all fucking equal under the Equalities Act and all that shit, but
Yeah.
it was the 80s. It was acceptable in the 80s. It was acceptable at the time. Anyway, little music break. But yeah, so that's how they're doing it. I've noticed several other shows that are doing similar things, where they hold the show in the 90s or 80s, or they're doing a movie that's like period, effectively,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get away with certain things, because if they held it today, they wouldn't. Or what they'll do is they'll go dystopian future,
Yeah.
so they'll go like way into the future in some dystopian, fucked up world, and then they
Mm-hmm.
can get away with some stuff there as well. Otherwise, the rest of it all has to be fucking Star Trek now. It all
Yeah.
has to be, the next generation and, and all that. They have to be political. Even the next generation, I think, is politically incorrect for this day and age.
It's
This is
so
the messed
fucking
up thing.
sad. Like, it's just, how are you so sensitive to reality? What that's indicating to me is that your relationship to reality is so fucking poor. that you just can't deal with certain aspects of it. Sorry you don't like it, but like this is how things are. Get used to it so we can move forward.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they want you to sort of suspend reality in order to fit a narrative, rather
Right.
than actually looking at reality and saying, okay, how can we deal with reality
Correct.
and be sensitive to X, Y, and Z. This is how societies might, move forward. This is how the zeitgeist moves. It doesn't move by you pretending reality
But
doesn't
here's the
exist.
problem with acknowledging truth. When you acknowledge truth, you acknowledge that you have to change. People aren't into
Yeah.
that. I don't know where
Well,
you've been,
you're right.
Banksy, but people aren't into the whole changing thing. You know?
Yes, people are not. I mean, I find myself in similar shoes too. I mean, maybe I am a relic of the past. Maybe I am the Neanderthal who doesn't want to change. All I'm saying is, there's it's a saying on the internet, and it's been prevalent everywhere, is you can ignore reality, you just can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality.
No.
So it will eventually come and bite you on the ass, because you just simply can't ignore the consequences
Right.
of pretending this doesn't happen. But anyway, we're moving on a tangent, and then there's a horde of Stranger Things. What do you before? Oh, sorry. The Lucas's sister, by the way, she was called Erica. I thought she was. I thought you said Nancy, and I said yeah, but Nancy is obviously the
Nancy
other sister.
is Mike's sister.
Mike's sister.
Yes.
What do you think about the little MILF episodes, or the MILF moments of season 3 with Karen, Wheeler, and Billy?
Hot.
Yeah, I agree.
Hot.
I agree. I mean, like, she's a very attractive lady. He is, like,
is
you
hot.
can't even admit how fucking hot this guy is. He's ridiculously attractive. She's very attractive. It just seems like the thing that would happen. You know what I mean? Right? Like, she has like
MILF
this
moment.
typical boring ass work a job, provide for the family husband.
Yeah.
The dick is probably less than mediocre. And then there's this fucking firecracker of a guy who has this fucking perm and these abs, and that he's just such a bad boy. Like, everybody wants to fuck him. That is what you understand from the moment he is introduced in this show. Everybody wants to fuck Billy. And if you say you don't, you are lying, okay? Even as a man, you probably want to fuck Billy. And then there's Mrs. Wheeler, who is like the perfect mom, super caring, super loving, super MILF status. Everybody wants to fuck her too, okay? So you have these two characters in this show that everybody wants to fuck. It is just my porno fantasy that this interaction is finally occurring. And what a mess. So let me bring this to my favorite episode in the whole entire season, which is episode 4, okay? So
which season?
Season 3. Season 3.
Yeah.
It is the night after he crashes his car. He shows up at the pool the next day. She goes to talk to him and apologize. And then there's the scene where it looks like he fucking hits her head against the shelving. But then it pops right back into reality, because the monster is now in his mind, right? It has flayed him. So this fucking scene, okay, has messed me up, and to this day continues to, because I was so fucking high on acid, Banksy, and like there is this effect that happens with acid where like it slows down the buffering process of your brain, and it looks like you're viewing every frame of your reality as you're processing it. Now, season 3, episode 4 of Stranger Things is the most beautifully crafted episode, because you cannot discern so many fucking times what is happening, and if you're confused, because they do such an amazing job to take you through what it's like being consumed by this monster and in Billy's brain, that
Wow.
you don't know what's happening, and you're actually shifting through what's really happening and what's happening in Billy's brain. Now,
Yes.
imagine that effect plus being on acid, where you already think you're like, oh shit, look at me. I'm just like slipping through dimensions right now because I can't figure out where I am. And then this episode of this show is pretty much showing you this acid trip that Billy is having because this monster has taken over his brain. So I just felt like it was so beautifully done that you couldn't even tell that they were putting you in and out of Billy's mind the whole fucking episode until you watch the next episode and you're like, oh, so they were really just showing me getting in and out of Billy's brain, being consumed by this fucking monster. And honestly, unless you're really acquainted with being on drugs like acid, the artistry and just the fucking intense level of detail involved to depict that, oh my god. The favorite. It's my favorite episode of the whole show was that one.
I see. So the favorite episode and the favorite moment where he turns around, smacks her head against the thing, and then you suddenly switch, and it's actually not happening at all. It's actually,
Oh my god!
But
it's
the weird
crazy.
thing is, I have seen that. I can't remember the film now, but there is a movie where the person who's imagining what he would do to someone versus what he actually does. And I think that some of that element is also in another film called Wanted with Angelina Jolie and the guy who plays Professor X now, McAvoy. And there are moments where he, in his mind, he's doing something, but in reality, he's not, because in reality, he's just sitting there like looking at the person.
Dude,
this
so trippy.
I have to say, but
amazing.
Yeah, if you're on acid, then I can't imagine how fucked up that's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be.
tell you something about. I think it was the wrong choice. I think being on acid and watching that show for the first time was the totally incorrect choice because, like, your amygdala is so sensitive to anything that could trigger it. And with all the sound frequencies and the music, because they're trying to freak you out. That's what they want to do. They did a great job. I was really on edge during that whole show. With mushrooms, I was a little bit more chill and I was able to take it in. The thing to appreciate on drugs is like the colors, the lights, just all that stuff. It's the best when you're high. You know what I mean? But emotionally, it is way too stressful on acid. Way too stressful.
Yeah, I've never taken acid and watched these shows, so I leave that expertise to you.
Yeah. I would not recommend it.
I think the next acid trip I'll do will probably be without Stranger Things. I'll make sure I'll avoid at least season 3. Maybe season 3 mushrooms, season 1 acid.
Yeah. I think season 2 is still my favorite, but man, the ending of the 3rd season, like, it breaks me. So the person I identify with the most is 11 in this show. If you ever get a chance to talk to my friend Brian, which I hope you do, like, he will just laugh because he's like, oh my god, Aimee, like, every single time we've gotten high and watched this show, the thing that you always do is you turn to me and you go, all the suffering these people have gone through. Like, poor Joyce, okay? Poor Joyce, poor 11. Dude, 11. This fucking girl, man. If for 1 minute you take the time to connect with this character, who, like, her father considered her a fucking science experiment, ripped out of the womb, separated from her mother, just used as this object in this fucking project that her dad was doing. And then,
a guinea pig.
Yeah, and then to have this immense power and not understand it. And then in the 3rd season where she's spying on people and she's getting bits of information, and every single time she spies on these people, there's just horror that she's experiencing that she can't even connect because she doesn't understand how powerful she is. So
Yeah,
she's coping with all these layers of just intense trauma. And like, how do
yeah.
you not, with no guidance, nobody who can understand her, nobody who can be there for her. And then Mike is like, I don't want this girl to die. I fucking love her. Everybody stop treating her like she's just some fucking superhero because this is my girlfriend. There's so many
Yeah.
amazing things that they added in this show that you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
everybody can
The
relate
growth,
to that.
yeah, the growth between Eleven and Mike, and also the frustrations of Jim,
Yeah, so cute.
and the whole 3 inches of the door. There was a lot of yeah, really great moments, especially when Eleven and Max were in the room, just like doing
Can you
girly
give me
time.
a
And
fucking break? Like that letter, I remember he was like, what's a heart to heart? Joyce was like, you need to have a chat with the kids. Like, just really talk to them. Tell them how you feel. And he's like,
yeah,
heart to heart. And then he writes this whole thing where he's like, feelings. Like, I don't even remember what feelings were like because I lost my daughter and everything in me died. And then you came. And like from the
yeah,
day that I left Egos out in the woods to help you and like let you know you have someone. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Oh
no,
my God.
it
Like,
was kind of like a full circle for Hopper as well. He kind of lost the daughter but gained the daughter.
yeah.
And he'd finally reached the happy place in his life, and sort of came to terms with the loss of his daughter.
Oh my
And yeah,
God. Like,
it was
the last meeting they had, remember, like they were sitting in the mall, right? And he's like, you're stronger than any of us. Like, you need to go fight. Like, we're all here for you, blah, blah, blah. That was the last time she saw him. And like,
that's
that
right.
moment
Yeah,
where Joyce is hugging Will at the end and Hopper isn't there. And they like look at each other and immediately it's communicated that Jim died. You're like, oh my God. Like, I lost my shit.
yeah. But did he? Did
I
he
know he
die?
might be the American, which is what I'm hoping for. But, you know, in that moment, you're like,
I actually think he's gone. He's not the American. I think he went through the portal before it shut.
and he's just hanging out on the upside down.
He's in the upside down at the moment. He's trapped there. I think the American line in Russian thing was maybe a not so much of a throwaway, but kind of like a distraction or what you call it? Just yeah, to pull people in this thing that, oh, he must be in some Russian prison. Yeah, kind of a sleight of hand by the writers to
Yeah.
try to get people to sort of look over there, whilst he's probably, they'll find him in the upside down, because I would be very surprised in the season 4 where the portal doesn't open at some point.
Oh, of course it's going to.
So,
But
I mean,
what
it
a
seems that the
moment
only
that was. Like,
it
this
was.
girl has experienced nothing but loss and trauma and, like, then falling into Billy's memories and having to watch his trauma. Her whole fucking life is trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and she's so, like, she still gets up. And my favorite thing about her is every time that Mind Flare fucks with Mike, she's like, or anytime anybody fucks with Mike, she gets up and she's like, do not
she's
fuck
yeah.
with my boyfriend. You can fuck with my friends a little bit. You can fuck with the people around me a little bit, but do not come near my fucking boyfriend. She gets the maddest when Billy
Yeah.
fucks with Mike, right?
Yeah.
And when the Mind Flayer fucks with Mike. And when, who
Yeah.
else was it in the first or second season? I think it was those two asshole bully kids that were fucking
Oh,
with
yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
That she got up.
broke-
She's
yeah.
like, do not fuck with my man,
I think she
dude.
broke his leg or something. I think it was it was the bully. She broke the bully's leg,
Yes.
and
She made him
and
piss
she,
his pants.
yeah, yeah, and she then levitated Mike out of the
Yeah,
cabin.
out of dying
falling.
and jumping to his
She
death.
Jedi mind tricked him straight out. Mind,
And it's so
the
it's
Jedi
so
mind.
endearing. That level of loyalty is so endearing.
It is.
That's what
it
I
is.
love
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that show. Like, at the end of the day, they all, And always that is how the Duffer Brothers depict that group of friends. Like first, second, third season, anytime there was a situation where all of them were together, all of them get in a circle, their backs are facing each other, and they're all facing outward, because that is the we're all defending each other position. We are
Yeah.
the tribe right now. This is the monster. We are all threatened, but we
Yeah.
are loyal to each other. And here is a physical depiction of our loyalty to our fucking friends, dude.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing about the show, because I'm like, man, I want a group of friends like that. I want people who, like, we just know instinctively turn outward towards the monster, but we all got each other's backs. Like, our backs are good.
Yeah.
Look ahead.
Yeah.
Take care of each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think this circles right to the front, like to the beginning of what we were talking about, friendship and those friendships that are worth it and those that are not. My mum loves the TV show Sex in the City
Yeah.
for that exact same dynamic, because these girls are so there for each other.
Yeah.
Times I think it's without a shadow of a doubt that sort of support and friendship is that concept is resonated throughout
Well, we
humanity.
all want it, but for some reason we're all running from it. Like, what is that?
It's
like, it's
I think
embarrassing. Like, it feels embarrassing as an adult to want to be like, dude, I don't know what it is about you, but I really like you, and I really feel like we would make such good friends. Can we try this? Can we do the thing for the long haul where we're like, yeah, you're fucked up in your ways and I'm fucked up in my ways, and if it's a problem, we'll talk about it, but like, can we try this thing? Like, where we just actually try and be there for each other forever? Can we try it? Like,
yeah. One thing I wanna definitely touch on before we finish with any of this, because I don't want to leave this one, and the dynamic between in season 3 between Steve Harrington and the girl, the girl who turned out to be
a lesbian. Yeah.
I don't know her name and I can't find her on the list.
I can't believe I
here.
forgot her name.
Yeah, I know.
I just watched
I
it
feel,
too.
I feel bad. Is it Robin?
Yes, that's it.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, because I think I've seen the picture of this girl on the list. Yeah, I think it's Robin. So what do you think? I thought the weird thing was it was an amazing sort of dynamics between them. How she started off hating him. She had that board with "you suck" and "you rule," and then she kept pointing out how much he sucks. And the whole thing was like they kind of hated each other to begin with, but they became really close. And obviously, Steve thought that. She was interested in him, but he actually found that the twist on her. I mean, I feel that her being a lesbian was a little bit of a call out to the social justice people out in the world, so that they can say, look, we have a diverse cast of characters,
Right.
and we have a gay we even give a nod to the LGBT in the 80s too, which is fine. But I actually liked the way they did it. They didn't just go, here's a lesbian. Okay, are you happy now? We've given you a black, a lesbian. We've ticked all the correct boxes, people. So now piss off and leave us alone in the comment sections. Rather than doing that and having a throwaway character where they just say, oh, she's gay, and then just not do anything with this character. They built this character up. They built this entire arc of the dynamics between Steve and
I
Robin.
like how they switched it up. It was totally it caught me off guard completely. The other thing to notice also is, do you remember how there was an issue with Will? The weirdest episode was the episode where Will was all into D&D and the other guys are like whatever. So it's a little ambiguous in the sense that, remember, he also got kidnapped. So if he's trying to recreate the situation where he is remaining a child, it makes sense, because there was a part of something he missed after he got kidnapped. But he's also not into girls, so he could be gay. So it's either he is not maturing fast enough, or he's not maturing at the same rate as everybody else because he had that traumatic experience and wants to create that comfort again, or he's gay.
Yeah, I mean, there's from what I noticed, the concept of Billy's trauma keeping his keeping him emotionally stunted. I thought maybe
Mm-hmm.
that was a theme of Will also being stunted effectively, emotionally or psychologically because of the trauma he went through. So there could be that play where they're trying to make out that these traumas, these you know bad situations have actually stunted the growth of these people
Right.
emotionally and
Right.
psychologically. So that could be a play that they're doing on those guys. But I actually initially, yeah, you're right. I thought he's going to be the LGBT because I was looking out for the LGBT character in this entire show. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, they got the token black boy. They even introduced a token black girl. So now they're
She's
gonna
so
have to
awesome.
introduce. Yeah, but that's the thing. These characters, even Lucas, he's an awesome character. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
These none of these characters are throwaway characters. They didn't just introduce them just to meet some kind of bullshit quota.
Right, right.
These characters matter. We
Mm-hmm.
care about these characters. We want to see these characters, go through their journeys and to have their moments. So
Yeah.
it's not just like I just oh, here's a gay character, here's a black character, just like old Hollywood shit where they show you a black guy and then he dies 2 minutes later because that's what he was there for. He was there just to tick a quota of black characters, and they'll do nothing with this character, and he just gets eaten by a shark or shot by a laser or whatever. He just dies. The black guy always dies. So they didn't do that. They actually had characters that we give a shit about, that I care about what happens to them. I care about Luca. I care about his sister.
Mm-hmm.
The parents are kind of not in the picture, except for Mike's
Joyce. Just
mom. Yeah,
Joyce, right?
yeah,
Mostly
Joyce.
Joyce and
Yeah.
Hopper. Like, even
Oh,
Mrs.
Joyce and
Wheeler is
Hopper.
just kind of stays out of it. She doesn't
Yeah,
get
but Karen.
involved.
Yeah, she becomes a thing in the third season, but up until then, I'm just thinking. I mean, this is another anomaly that I'm always thinking. How is it that the parents of these children have no fucking clue what these children are up to,
But
and
that's
these
how it was
children are
back in the
dealing with
day,
some
right?
fucked
Like,
up stuff?
even I remember being a kid and like just being like, okay, mom, I'm going to be in the neighborhood. This is where I'm at. And she would just like let me go out.
No, 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 no. My parents let me go out, but I went out and played football. I didn't go and battle some fucking ungodly monster from another dimension. I would have pretty much. I would like to think my parents are sensitive enough to pick
Yeah,
up on
yeah.
shit like that. The fact that I wake up in the middle of the night screaming with cold sweat, I would have thought that some of this shit would be picked up.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if your parents are so insensitive that they haven't picked up on this sort of shit, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
You're so funny. Yeah, no, it's true though.
Yeah, I mean, if your kids are out playing fucking hopscotch and skipping and football or whatever, fine. But these kids are not fucking playing football all day. They're not
Yeah.
out, exchanging baseball cards. They're fucking fighting monsters from other dimensions.
Yeah. But what a weird
But even
situation too, right? To randomly run into this random girl who just who knows. It's a small town. So
yeah,
so like all this weird stuff starts happening in this
no, no,
small town.
not only that, 11 stayed under the table in their perfectly, by the way, perfectly set up cellar.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was not even one little bit of frigging mold or mildew or anything in this cellar. This
No.
cellar was better than fucking people's condominiums.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, despite the fact that that cellar was the most perfect thing I've ever fucking seen, this girl lived for days under this table. Nobody, apart from these kids, came downstairs. Nobody. Are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody
I
came
know.
down the stairs. She was watching TV at one point.
Yeah.
No one heard that shit.
But I really think that parents just were more chill back then. You know, like
Yeah,
they would let their kids go out, and that's why Will was able to bike home and get
in the middle of the
lost
night. Yeah.
and that's why Hopper was like, dude, this is Hawkins, like shit happens sometimes, like don't worry about it, maybe he's here, maybe he's there, whatever.
I know, I know. I mean, I have to say, some of the parenting skills of these people in this show would seriously alarm some social services.
But dude, let's
we'll
be
let
real
that one
here,
slide.
like I think that is the reason that that there are a lot of resilient kids from that era. If you're thinking of now where parents are always trying to protect their kids and not let them experience things or go out or whatever the fuck, they're just always afraid and they don't want to do anything and they want to hide in their basements and talk to people on the internet all day. So you're
Yeah.
either going to get the kind of kids who are going to go on adventures and go out and stuff, or you're going to get kids who are like basement dwelling fags who just want to play World of Warcraft all day because their parents never like let them acclimate themselves to an environment outside of the home because they never encouraged going out and playing and exploring and all those kinds of things, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, it's true. When I grew up, I had a million times more freedoms than I see kids have today. I mean, I used to be gone. Like my parents literally had no clue where I was.
Yeah, exactly.
They were
I mean,
in
not for
in
me, but
yeah. I mean, and when I was about, but between the ages of let's say, 5 and 8, 8 or 9, I used to be out all day, every day playing football, and I was actually, despite my current looks, I was suffering from malnutrition when I was young,
yeah.
because I would not come home to eat. I would just constantly be out playing. So I had to be threatened by my dad that if he comes from work and he sees me out playing football, he will beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So we had to set it up so that the goalie of the other team would have their goal set up at the end of the street so that the goalie could see my dad's car come round the corner. So he would then scream saying, "Go home!" And then I would run home
Yeah.
just before my dad comes in. So that was how we had to set it up so that I can get home before my dad. And usually I was sitting pouring with sweat, breathing heavy because I just ran like halfway down the street. And he's like looking at me like, you just came in, didn't you? He's just like, he knew. He didn't say it, but he knew.
Yeah.
He just gave me that look. But that's how much out I was out all the time. And then in this country, in my teenage years, I had a motorbike or moped kind of thing, that the earliest that we could have. And then I was also again gone. I was just out for all day in the summertime usually, and that's it. And so yeah, it is true that parents allowed their kids a hell of a lot more freedom when they were kids. And they could just go off with their friends pretty much all day, and the parents would be none the wiser what they've been up to. But again, I still hold some degree of caveat over fighting giant monsters and these children not having any fucking trauma. And like you've just seen some fucking ungodly alien creature from another dimension. That is going to give you a little bit of issues with sleeping. Okay, I think you will feel a little problems. It might take you a couple of hours to quite settle into that REM sleep.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm just saying.
If you
none of these kids.
If you even fucking get there.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Mike, sorry, not Mike. Will, is it Will?
Yes.
I think it's Will. Yeah,
the one
Will.
who got kidnapped.
Will, his mom was fully aware of what went down. So if he wakes up, screaming at night, fair enough. They know what to do. But I am amazed that Mike and Luca and Dennis, they didn't have the same sort of. I mean, they saw the same fucked up things. They've experienced a similar sort of. They weren't trapped in the other side, but on the upside down. But they were, they've seen these monsters. They've all seen
But there's
creatures.
also something very, very potent about out of sight, out of mind. So unless that thing is in your fucking brain consuming you or controlling you in any kind of way, if it's not in your face all the time, you're going to forget. It doesn't matter how traumatic or scary it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, it just popped into my head again. The whole Steve Harrington and Robin. It was, I don't know, would it be more satisfying if she was heterosexual and they did get it together, or the fact that they went with the...
Frankly, I liked it. I liked all of it. I'm not too hung up on the way that they took the characters. I like that even the Will situation was a bit ambiguous. I like that, It's
Yeah,
interesting to
we'll
have that as a part of the plot. Just it changes the entire dynamic of how you thought of the situation to begin with. Because remember when when they were first being questioned by the Russians and the Russians left them, they were in the room
yeah.
and she was talking about how, do you remember being in Mrs. Click's class and all this stuff? They made it sound like she really liked him. But then they revealed
Mm,
that it's the girl that would always stare at him that she was interested in. And it was such an interesting way to like introduce that character twist. And I like that. It's
yes,
creative. It's
yes, yeah.
different,
No,
you
that
know?
was
Like
awesome. Yeah,
I like that. And he was like, because he's so fucking stupid, Steve Harrington, like, even his reaction was so in character. He's like, yeah, but she's a girl. And then he's like, oh.
yeah. It took
You
him a
know, like
while
it
for the
also,
penny to drop.
yeah, it also played really well into his character and how stupid Steve is. So I like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
too. And he still hung out with her after, which is also great. Which is a great thing to
yeah.
show somebody who you introduced as a douchebag is actually a real sweetheart because he's still her friend after the fact and they're getting a job together
Exactly.
and all that kind of stuff, right? So,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they shared so much of that traumatic event of the whole
yeah.
Russian and everything else. They shared way too much for them not to be friends afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. Most of these guys, it's almost impossible for them not to be friends
Right.
after all that events that they went through. Even the Russian Alexei, his death was quite traumatic,
Wasn't
and
it
he
though?
was a very new, yeah, and he was such a very new, effectively an enemy character, and yet his death was quite sad, and
It was also super charming. Like it was all so charming,
mm,
right? Like the entire time like him and Hopper are having this quarrel and then they become friends and it's all really cute and like
yeah.
the Russian guy who hates the Russians is now like, "Oh shit, we're friends too." And they're making jokes and laughing with each other and like there were just so many charming aspects of the
There were.
show that
The one thing that I'm a bit uh sort of, I guess the government covers it all up, but it was like the deaths, the few people that have died, like Bob and Alexei. I mean, Alexei was a Russian, so the government would have cleared that up. But
mm.
Bob, nobody questioned like what happened to Bob.
But see, do you remember at the end that guy came back, right? I think he was one of the scientists or the doctors that Hopper had found in season 2. Remember? He
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
up at the end in the helicopter, right? So like
Yes, yes.
obviously he has some sort of tie with that.
Of
They
course.
obviously
Yeah.
had to keep it quiet because that wouldn't be good for the country to know. So they play on that a little bit too where oh, like you're seeing that some conspiracies are actually true. Right? And in
Yes.
order to actually manage the situation, part of managing the situation is like keeping it under wraps, not allowing it to get big because you know how people are. We love the spectacle of a
Yeah.
crisis. It's not the crisis we pay attention to. It's like the shooting thing. Neil deGrasse Tyson made a tweet about the 2 shootings that happened in 24 hours in the States,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
People got so upset about that. And it's like, dude, he is illustrating the exact thing that you are bitching about or that you're having a problem with. And that is like, the spectacle is what you're responding to. You're not actually responding to the shooting. You're not responding to the
Mm,
deaths. You're responding to the fact that it was a dramatic event and there was this crazy guy who just killed 20 people at once. Yo, what about the 20 people who just died? Are we going to give them any attention? Nah, fuck that.
exactly.
Let's have the gun debate right now because it's an appropriate
Yeah.
time, right? After people's
Yeah.
family members, friends, cousins, brothers, sisters have just been shot to death for no fucking reason. Yeah, let's have the
Yep.
gun debate. Let's make this political. You're responding
Exactly.
to the spectacle. Talk about the root of the problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, he puts it in a balance sort of. He sort of demonstrates that, look, on any given day, all these people are dying, and none of you seem to give a crap. None of
Yeah.
you are talking about how we can take these numbers down, or control the situation. But this spectacle of a sort of terrorist, if you like, attack, then that has to, you now have to take care of the gun problem. Now the gun
Exactly.
problem,
But
not
dude, like
every week
the
before that.
reason he mentioned this crazy statistic, and it's like every 48 hours, 40 people in the US die from homicide, like from gun death. You guys are freaking out over one fucking school shooting that happened. This is
Mm.
exactly what illustrates your response to the fucking spectacle and not to the root of the problem. 40
Yeah,
people are dying every day, every 48 hours.
yeah,
What about that?
absolutely.
That's what we need to address. But,
I mean, if the
again,
response was even proportionate, to be honest, they'd be talking about how we can ban people driving cars. Because if you actually look at the numbers, the death, the people who die in car accidents all the time, you should actually be having the same amount of conversation about gun control as you
but
would
here's the
about
thing
car
with car
control.
accidents. So, with car accidents, we do whatever we can do in our power to ensure the most
Yeah,
safety in that situation. With the gun debate, we don't.
yeah. I
Obviously,
mean,
it's
well, certainly in the
not being
United
looked.
States.
Yeah, in the United States, things are not being looked at from a perspective of let us prevent as much as we can the dangerous side effects of this particular privilege of owning a gun.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
yeah. My issues with the whole gun debate is complicated. I mean, I live in a country that we barely have
Right.
any guns in the hands. Hell, even our police officers, for the most part, they don't have guns, let alone citizens. Although it is rising, the number of people with guns is rising. So illegal guns and stuff are. Uh, the numbers are growing, but they're not even close to American numbers. They're
Yeah.
minuscule. But we still have violent deaths. We still have a massive knife problem. We have more people that have died, at least at one point in 2018. More people were murdered in Britain as in London than they were in New York. London had a larger murder rate than New York. So we have our own issues with knives and with attitude. It's an
Of
attitude thing, and also it's
course.
policing. So I'm not quick to say that because we don't have guns, somehow we're safer. We're not at this moment in time because other elements matter. Policing, especially police numbers, we cut those numbers badly by the conservative government did over since 2008, and now we're reaping the rewards of that cut. The
Mhm.
police people literally told us, if you do this, you're going to get murders in the streets, and the conservative government ignored them, so they went ahead and cut the police numbers, and now we have murders in the streets. It's like,
Yeah.
oh gee, there's a shock. The police, the people who do this, told you bureaucrats not to do this. So anyway, but as far as America is concerned, my view on that is a bit of a divided view. I believe that the second amendment is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the fundamental principles of it. What I disagree with is the way America is the relationship Americans seem to have
It's
with
the
guns.
culture.
Yeah, the
It's the
culture and the
culture
relationship.
surrounding guns. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Because I mean, Switzerland is one of the most armed places in Europe. In fact, it is. Every citizen, because they have to go into the army, have legal firearms. But they've all gone through military training. They've all actually been taught how to respect and be responsible with their guns.
Yes.
So Switzerland doesn't have nearly even close to the numbers of gun deaths that America has. Also, of course, it's a smaller country, but nevertheless, the way they deal with guns, the way Canadians deal with guns, is a very different relationship
Very.
to the
Mhm.
way the Americans do. New Zealand, after that Christchurch thing, they like went on a massive banning of guns. To be honest, I think that's terrible. That's taking away people's liberties for one event, like you said, the spectacle. They're reacting on the spectacle rather than the facts, and the facts is that New Zealand actually has a perfectly healthy relationship with guns. They don't
Mhm.
actually have the kind of soaring crime rates and shootings and stuff that United States has, but they shit themselves after one mass attack, and started curtailing people's freedoms, effectively their
Yeah.
rights to have things.
Mhm.
um and it seems that the people in New Zealand are not even like really objecting to this. It's quite unusual, actually. I would have thought there would have been at least some pushback, but
Yeah.
there isn't even pushback. They're just like, yeah, fine, take away our freedoms, uh, even though this one event shouldn't actually dictate this kind of a response. If you actually look at the number of shootings that happen in the country, but it is what it is. I can't speak for them when I live in a country which has the most draconian laws when it comes to guns ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are. It's practic. I mean, it's not impossible, but it is horrendously difficult
Mm-hmm.
to get a firearm in Britain to justify
Yeah.
or having a firearm in England is god awfully difficult. It'll be faster for you to make a gun than it is to get all the licenses. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
like get the metal, molten metal, and all the bits and forge a gun.
Yeah.
And then to try to get the licenses to buy one. It's crazy. It's crazy. The thing is that things are changing and in the way of technology, because now with 3D printing, it's going to make it quite interesting to see how Britain deals with that technology, because you can actually print guns.
Yeah. People
Uh,
are doing that already. People have been
yeah,
doing that for quite some time.
yeah. So I'm interested to see how Britain will address that. Will these certain types of printing 3D printers will be banned or not,
Yeah, there's a lot of
or
weird
what?
issues that are going to crop up, like just with simple things like the internet. You know what I mean? Like, the more we meet people and the more that we make friends with people internationally, immigration is just going to have to be dealt with in an actual
Yeah,
comprehensive way. You know,
yeah,
because
that as
like
well.
we're
Yeah.
going to meet people that we like better, that we want to spend more time with. Maybe we want to move to another country to be near those people that we
Mm,
like, that we're meeting online. And these are all aspects of our reality now that
yeah.
governments are going to have to deal with. And,
Well, I mean,
it's,
from that perspective, I don't see that as much of an issue as I do with the number of economic migrants.
yeah,
The
yeah.
economic migrant movement is in its hundreds of thousands. People falling in love with other people in different countries over the internet. I'd be amazed if it's in even in the thousands, if not in the tens of thousands
Yeah,
at
yeah.
best. Whilst we're literally looking at hundreds of thousands of people a year, at least 300,000
Yeah.
a year, just shuffling from North Africa or Middle East over to European nations or North American nations, and of course South America all the way to North America.
But
These are
honestly,
in the
just
hundreds of
discussing
thousands.
any of these issues and like the differences between our countries is going to have to, it is going to cause governments to look at these things differently. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think technology has already had a major impact in the way our governments, our laws work, and that's just going to grow. That is simply going to grow. The whole
Mm-hmm.
thing about I think, is it Andrew Yang? He talks about the universal basic income
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. People have been talking about this. Some countries of, I think it was this. God, it was a Scandinavian country who's already implementing some degree of UBI in order to
Mm-hmm.
see, because when menial labor tasks, low skilled tasks are replaced by robots, essentially AI, which is what's happening. I mean, right now, uh, go to your average, at least in Britain anyway, go to your average fast food takeaway, McDonald's, and even Burger King has introduced it. They no longer need, like, I remember back in the 90s, there was like 20 cashiers taking order from some of the large McDonald's in central, like London or central, busy places.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 20 tills taking orders, and there was queues. Now, on those same large they have four, maybe five actual tills, and they have like 15 touchscreens menus, and all you do is go up to it, punch in whatever you want, pay with your card. It gives you a receipt. You go to the collection point and you wait until your food is ready, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. You just pick it up from there. So 20 cashiers have been reduced to five.
Mm-hmm.
immediately that's
Yeah, that's
15 people
happening
out
at
of
like
work.
even very silly little restaurants like McDonald's. Let me tell you, like, so what they've done in a lot of McDonald's renovations is they've made the till area smaller. So there, instead of 6 tills, there's only 4 or 2. And then they've added 2 stations where you can place your order via the computer.
There
Nobody
you
fucking uses those. Almost everybody, 98% of the people who are coming into McDonald's are going to the cashier because that's what they prefer.
Yeah, that's a generational thing though.
Yes, it
That
is.
will
But at the
change.
same time,
All you
like,
all,
I'm the same. I prefer to talk to somebody. I want to go to a restaurant, talk to a waitress, talk to whatever, like I just.
I mean, restaurants. Maybe I'm not really that interested in having a deep conversation with a
No,
guy
I
at
just like the idea of
McDonald's
human
or
contact, period. I'm not too
yeah, I
concerned.
suppose.
I don't want to, like,
Yeah.
push buttons.
No,
Dude,
no.
you deal
I
with
don't.
point of sales. I deal with blah, blah, blah. That's what
At
I
this
want to
point,
do.
I don't even like to even go into the shop and type, punch in on the screen in theirs. I can download the app on my phone,
That's true,
make
too.
my order. By the time I get there, it's actually done and ready. I just fucking collect my shit
Yeah.
and leave. I don't even want that much interaction with the people.
All I can think about right now is I really want to order pizza.
Oh, I know.
I
You know
haven't
what I
had
mean?
pizza
Uber
in a
Eats.
long time. I want
You just
pizza.
There you go. All I do is just the app, bam, hell, I don't even want to go to that. Bring the shit over to me.
Yeah, yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, we were talking on my show earlier on about the Amazon burning down. I'm sorry, we're digressing from
No, no,
Stranger
no. It's
Things.
okay. Please.
But but we were talking about the Amazon burning down. How Maduro's government is potentially trying to usher some of these natives that live in the Amazon jungle out of the jungle so that they can use the resources of the jungle. And we were saying that potentially they could introduce because like some of these natives they have to go out with like a blow dart and those poison darts and things that they use, and they usually eat a lot of spider monkeys and grubs and things like that. But what if we introduce Amazon Eats to them, so they don't have to go out for 2-3 days, killing spider monkeys. They could have 2 spider monkeys and a plate of grubs just delivered to them, and we'd call it Amazon Eats.
Yeah.
And we'll just change their lives. We'll bring them into the 21st century.
It's
and,
coming, dude.
and
I'm telling
there'll be
you.
a dude on a little moped delivering spider monkeys to them all day long. There'll be people out there just shooting spider monkeys. So yeah, so that could be the way to solve the problem with the natives wanting to live in the Amazon. Just give them Amazon Eats.
Amazon
But
Eats.
there you go, Amazon Eats. In fact, Amazon Eats could be owned by Amazon.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
will deliver in the Amazon.
That's so fucking crazy.
Amazon will deliver in the Amazon for you.
I heard you talking about that earlier today. So before we go any further, are you okay? Because it's like 4 a.m. your time. So
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. I'm slowly going into the zone of not okay.
yeah. So you let me know because
I'm-
we have been talking for a couple hours. So if you want to end it now
I
and you
know.
think it's good, we can always do it
Well,
again.
is there anything on the Stranger Things crew that you wanna delve into? Is there any particular that you were
Honestly, I feel pretty
interested in?
satiated because we had a really good conversation about friends and stuff, and it does kind of tie into the whole Stranger Things theme because I think for me, that is the thing that stands out the most about the show is like the loyalty, the friendship, the relationships.
Yes.
That's my biggest
yes,
takeaway. The
100%.
monster is there, but the friendships persist.
Yeah, I
through
think the monster is.
monsters.
Yeah, the monster is just a catalyst to sort of bring them together, to
Yes.
create the traumatic event in order for them to come together.
Yes.
And the underlining sort of true story is this group of friends. It's to me it's a Goonies movie. That's what it
I
really
love the
is. It's a
Goonies.
yeah. It's a Goonies series. If
I'm a sucker for
yeah.
that shit too because like my dream is to have a group of friends that are ride or die, and my dream is like if the fucking zombie apocalypse or the monsters come, I'm not worried about me because I know all of our friends and me, we got each other's backs. We're going to be okay.
You got this.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's the
Guys, you got.
dream. That's the dream for me.
You're the Rick Grimes crew. That's gonna make it through this.
I'm not a big fan of
Oh,
My Little Pony, but the one thing that My Little Pony gets correct is this, and that is that friendship is magic. Dude, it is amazing what you can do with the people who have the correct temperament and the right talents. And if you bring those things
yes.
together, you can create such amazing things in this life and enhance your experience of life so much. And that is one thing that I feel when I talk to you, because we have an energy. And when there's a synergy between that energy, it's just
It's
nothing but
awesome.
good stuff comes out of it. And why would you not want to maximize that? You know?
True.
It feels
True.
so good. I
It's
don't need drugs when I'm locked in this experience with somebody where I'm having a good conversation and like I'm relating to someone as another human being. It just feels so correct, you know?
it, it does. It
Yeah.
does. No, it's true. If you actually can, if you're talking to someone and it's comfortable and it's easy, and hours just seem to melt away, that's yeah. That's
Dude,
a
that's like the best.
connection.
When
That's
you
very few
what
people.
is time? When you're in the face of people that make you forget what time is.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
anything better? No, because like the best thing to do in this life is to lose yourself in the things that you love to do,
It's true. It is true.
right?
It is awesome. It is. It's rare. That's the thing. I think that's the trick is to find those
So that's
people.
my thing. And my thing in
Mhm.
life, my biggest thing is like fucking amazing friendships and bonds with people, like legit human connections. And then bringing together all of our creative capacities to create amazing things together. You know?
Damn right.
And
Damn
like
right.
that is
And
what it's so fulfilling for from a visceral level. You feel so satiated when you
it's
have
true.
that.
It is. It's what was it? There was some sort of Buddhist thing that I think so, in regards to the we don't think we don't think twice about providing nutrition for our body, but we don't give that same level of nutrition. I mean, they put it in the way of the soul, but that's a religious. It's got a lot of
Yeah,
religious connotation.
you
But
know what they're
your
talking
mind,
about. Yeah.
yeah, giving nutrition to your inner core, to your mind, to your yeah, on a mental sort of nutrition rather than just physical. We
Hmm.
have to, and also on the flip side to that, we exert, as in when we want to get rid of waste, we know what to do physically. We go to the bathroom and we expel the waste, physical waste. But then there's a lot of mental waste that builds up as well that
That's
you
what
should be also
talking
mind.
is for.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like
you gotta be mindful.
masturbating. You need to release that tension, you know?
Yeah, mental masturbate.
Yes, exactly. It's good to sit with your friends and just talk shit and get all your dumb
Mm,
ideas out of your head, cuz then you can sit and talk about all the good ideas too, cuz we're all human. We're going to have shit ideas alongside our good ideas. You know what I mean? So, let's just deal with
exactly.
that reality and be each other's therapists and just chill the fuck out and be real human beings towards each other. Because at the end of the day, what is going to enhance your life other than that? Be a fucking
Exactly.
human, dude. Like, just be human beings together and chill out and have a good time.
Exactly. Don't be mindful of your mental nutrition and mental
Yes.
weight, and
Yeah.
and find those people that can help you in that way.
Yes.
Because yeah, because there's a lot of sort of we come across a lot of intangible confrontations. Those passive aggressive sort of moments in life,
Oh, God. Mm-hmm.
people cutting you up in traffic, or your boss is a dick, or you meet some other guy in the street is an asshole in, I don't know, the Starbucks queue. These build up, and you do need to be able to get rid of this waste. I usually do it through some kind of martial arts or violent action,
Yeah.
beating something up. is my thing. I find a punch bag
That's
or a
definitely a
partner
man
at
thing.
a
I mean,
gym.
testosterone
Yeah,
is definitely something that men have to contend with that women don't.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you like there is an aspect of your nature that is just violent that does need to be exercised and worked out. For us, that definitely isn't the thing, but like I think for women, the thing that's very important is that like nurturing aspect is like we need to be given an arena where we can exercise our nurture and our emotional contributions to any problem, and men need to be able to practice that like violent aggressive aspect of their nature. And like
yeah.
if we understood those aspects of each other, they really could create like a synergistic kind of situation, because men and women balance each other out if you let them. If you
Yes,
accept their
absolutely.
natures as they are, you're going to find a way to work with what the nature is as opposed to work against it.
Yes, yeah. This is the problem. This is what I mean. Again, we're digressing, but
That's okay.
I 100% agree. The problem with modern day feminism isn't that they're fundamentally. I think they fundamentally want to do the right thing. They want to have men and women work and live alongside each other and cooperate and synergize effectively. But what they've done is they've, instead of doing the things that they do based on experience, they do it based on a theory of what men and women should do rather than
Mm-hmm.
what they actually do. And this is why they come into conflict with pretty much anyone who's remotely sane, is because they're not working based on reality. They're working
Mm-hmm.
on based on an idealized idea of what reality should reflect. And so there'll be clashes because reality will always dominate the situation. Reality will always show you this is how things are, whether you like it or not. This
Right.
is how things are. And again, the whole thing about ignoring reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of reality. They don't want to deal with the way things are. They want to deal with ideal versions
But
of
like
how
it's so
things could be.
weird to even consider that like let me pay attention to ideals only and let ideals dictate everything else when you aren't even close to behaving anywhere close to ideal to even
Absolutely.
accomplish your ideals or what you think
Yep.
is ideal. Every day I
100%.
feel like I'm running into people who are just showing me how out of line we are value wise. And it's like, dude, I actually can't be like, I can't have you in my life if our values don't align. We could have all the same interests to the end of time, but if our values are not aligned, we're not going to get along. You know,
Exactly.
values are everything. Like what you
In a
worship and all that shit matters, right? What's important to
yeah,
you? Your
yeah,
principles.
in a weird way, this is why I don't completely object to a Muslim wanting to marry another Muslim,
Right.
Christian wanting to marry another Christian, because
Right.
they know their values, they know what they believe in, they know their effectively codes of conduct,
Right.
and so they want someone who will marry up with that, who will match those things. Whilst I think the secular and the atheists are the ones who are a little bit more confused a lot of times, because we don't
Yeah.
have those strict boundaries
No.
that the religious do, and so we find it harder to find those matches because we can, you can be an atheist and be a communist, you can be an atheist and be a socialist, capitalist, or anything else in between. So being an atheist isn't a qualifier, isn't a worldview. So it's not enough to give you those boundaries. You have to
Mm-hmm.
find the boundaries of how your morality, your codes of conduct, and all
Of
the other things
course.
in a worldview.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the secularists and the atheists find it harder to meet that special someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Whilst Christians and Muslims, it's unbelievable how he's. It's unbelievable. I know a guy, my own personal friend. I know that he married his wife after meeting her for 3 months. Then there was these guys, these Muslim guys who meet up on at Speaker's Corner. Two of them got married recently. They had met their wives, I think, a handful of times, because they can't just go out dating. They're Muslim, so
Mm-hmm.
they met them under chaperone sort of conditions a handful of times. Then they got married, and now the guy is talking about how I want to spend time to get to know my new best friend, but he's convinced himself she's going to be his new best friend.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know this person really. He doesn't actually know this is a stranger. But what they do know is they share the Islamic values, and they're happy with that. So the
So it
bits in between they'll
streamlines the
have to work
selection
out.
process if you already share an ideology with somebody. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it goes back to that idea of like, people make a lot of noises to signify what they think their values are, but the clearest indication is their behavior. That'll tell you what they value. Banksy, I see you yawning. I'm going to
Sorry.
be, oh no, please don't be sorry. It's 4 a.m. I totally understand. I'm just glad to get any of your time after I'm working on a Friday. So
Oh no,
I'm
no.
gonna be nice, and I think you should have some time to chill out and have some time
Yeah.
to do
Also,
that before
I
going to
think
bed.
I've got to go wake up my friend and
Oh yeah, your
actually put
friend.
the bed out
Oh,
for
your
him.
friend. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I gotta kind of look after. It's okay. I said we're cool. We got 2 3 days. We were gonna hang out. So for now, but yeah, I think it's best if we wrap it up because
Okay.
yeah, it's 4 a.m. So we're pretty much gonna end up sleeping all day tomorrow if we
No
don't get some
problem.
sleep
I
now.
appreciate your time. Thanks for coming by.
No,
And
thank you.
you're fucking awesome, Banksy. I love you lots. And I hope we talk soon
You're awesome.
again.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely,
Big kiss.
definitely. Thank you.
Bye.
Mwah. Bye.